are very, 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 I think that's the right number of verys, grumpy. So that is it for tonight's show. Thank you very much to my guests, Cressida and Simon. I hope you had a nice evening. I'll be back tomorrow at 11 p.m. with Archie Manners and Steve N. Allen. If you're watching the 5 a.m. repeat, then stay tuned for breakfast. Have a nice day. Bye.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Over the next 24 hours we'll see clearing skies widely across the UK, leading to a chilly night, but sunny for most of us on Tuesday. High pressure in charge at the moment, that's keeping things relatively settled. It's also brought a lot of cloud through Monday from the east and southeast, but that cloud's now drifting away. It's going to become confined to parts of northern and western Scotland, Northern Ireland and a few spots through Wales and Western England overnight. Otherwise, widespread clear skies form, and under those clear skies a widespread frost is expected, particularly for northern England as well as Scotland, with temperatures in some spots below -5 Celsius. A bit of a breeze in the south will prevent a frost here, despite blue skies to wake up to, and actually plenty of sunshine, so out of the wind. As temperatures rise through the day, it is going to feel a bit more pleasant through much of England and Wales. Northern Ireland stays with the cloud for the time being, and some patches will also continue to affect the west and northwest of Scotland, especially towards Shetland, but elsewhere across Scotland, barely a cloud in sight, and we'll keep those long spells of sunshine going right the way through the day. I think for many places it will be a breezier day compared with the last few, certainly noticeable for the south and the east, and that's a cold wind, so temperatures of 11 or 12 Celsius might not feel that pleasant in the wind, but out of the wind with the increasingly strong sunshine, feeling very warm indeed. Now, on Wednesday morning, we'll start off similar to Tuesday morning with a widespread frost. Sunnier skies for northwestern parts of the UK compared with Tuesday, but otherwise it's a similar day. Plenty of blue skies and dry weather, although a change is on the way. Through Thursday and into Friday, we'll see a bit more cloud arrive in the west and southwest, along with a few showers, but at the same time, it turns warmer.
We can expect clear skies, leading to a light and warm day ahead. Lovely. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
please bring us up to date.
Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Breaking news overnight, the Israel-Hamas ceasefire has collapsed.
Israel launches a barrage of airstrikes as hundreds of Palestinians are reported dead.
Well, just hours after the Foreign Secretary accused Israel of breaching international law, how will the Prime Minister square this one?
Benefits Britain. The government prepares to announce milestone changes to sickness and disability payments. But are they risking a backbench rebellion?
Ahead of that speech, we're debating whether we are a work-shy nation or are we the problem?
Honour Margaret Thatcher. Not just.
Kemi Badenoch is heckled by climate activists ahead of her biggest speech yet. Stay tuned to find out what she's planning to say about net zero.
And what would you say? Let us know. Pothole crisis. Repair backlogs have reached a new high. As if it couldn't get any worse. 17 billion quid it will cost to fill them in.
The royals head to Rome. The King and Queen will visit Italy next month for a once-in-a-generation state visit.
And sport this morning, Rory McIlroy says he's playing better than ever after he won the Players' Championship yesterday and has now joined Tiger Woods on winning over $100 million. Manchester United try and save more money by putting season ticket prices up. And also we have the tribute to the late former player of the Bulgarian football club that all turned out to be a bit of a disaster.
Yes, it's a little chilly out there this morning, but for many it's a blue sky day. Plenty of spring sunshine today and again tomorrow. Although it'll be cold tonight with another frost, it will get warmer as the week goes on. Join me later for a full forecast.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Tuesday morning. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Nana Acquia, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Nana, I love seeing you as part of our little gang in the morning.
Ah, good morning. It's lovely to be here.
Good, good. I'm sure it is. I can understand why.
Is it me? Is that what it is?
That's what it'll be.
It's being with the legend that is Eamonn Holmes.
Oh, okay.
Now, did you... I mean, we were dressed in green yesterday. Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. And did you do anything?
I didn't. Did you, though? You must have done, right? So what did you do?
I just went and socialised.
Yeah, did you?
I'm still socialising.
Are you still? Did you have a lovely time there?
It was very nice, very nice,
good.
Very good, very good. And, you know, lots of people joined in, and here we see that well-known Irish person, Meghan Markle.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
No, she's Nigerian, remember? 43%.
Meghan Markle, here she is here. And she was doing a bit of cooking yesterday, and, of course, everything has to be green.
Meghan Markle's hand there, that could be anyone's hand.
Did it just go wrong? Is this the thing? It's actually not for St Patrick's Day, it's just
No, I was
green.
just trying to get you to guess what was actually happening here, and I'm told this was her attempt at making waffles. Is that right?
Waffles, it looks like a green smoothie.
St Patrick's Day waffles, green waffles. Green's not a very good colour to eat, though, is it?
Yeah.
That's the trouble about it.
It doesn't look very appetising, does it? Not the domestic goddess that we thought she was, after all, maybe. Look at
Is that what she's doing? So she's actually putting green stuff on a waffle. But those could be somebody else's hands. I mean, we know what she's like.
Could be. See what you mean, see what you mean there. Yeah, very good. OK, well, Paul, we'll see you in 15, 20 minutes' time. What's the big news for you today?
Well, we're going to talk about your club, I'm afraid. They're trying to save more money, and also Rory McIlroy had a fantastic St Patrick's Day yesterday.
He has.
So, yeah, I'll tell you more about that.
He's made a habit of that, so he has. He does well on St Patrick's Day.
Who's your club? Newcastle United?
Are you being funny?
It's an attempt at a joke. I'm a Geordie, so...
I was going to say, that's the other football club that Nana's heard of, so...
Thank you.
And when is Ellie back? What date?
Eamonn.
She knows 4 clubs, Ellie.
Here tomorrow, which is good. Let's get into the news situation. Breaking news overnight: Israel has breached its ceasefire deal with Hamas. It's launched airstrikes in Gaza. 200 people are dead.
Benjamin Netanyahu has threatened increasing military strength as the IDF has admitted to resuming fighting.
It comes as the second phase of the hostage releases came to a halt, both sides failing to agree on a way forward. And remember, we are just 2 months into the ceasefire.
Foreign Secretary David Lammy has claimed Israel's strikes have broken international law.
Let's get more on this one with former British Army spokesperson Major Mike Shearer. Major Mike, good morning to you. Well, is this a surprise? It's certainly a surprise to me. I thought we were now looking at Ukraine now and what was going on in Yemen and airstrikes and whatever, and now suddenly Gaza's back on the map again.
Yeah, I'm afraid it was all so predictable, though, Eamonn. And our Foreign Secretary is quite wrong. There is no international law being broken at all by Israel. They are in a war, which they didn't start. They're trying to recover their hostages. And we got to remember that this terrorist organization, Hamas, their stated objective is the obliteration of every Jew in Israel.
But you've got to feel sorry, though, Mike, for the people who live there and who are going through this. And we saw, you know, tens of thousands of them cross that border again and say, look, it's all over. We're going to rebuild our homes. We're going to clear this debris. We're going to get some sort of normality back.
100%. Look, for every civilian death to the IDF, it is a tragedy. To Hamas, it's an information strategy. The more civilians that die at the hands of the IDF in their attempt to get to Hamas is a bit of an information success for Hamas. But you're right, of course, the poor people, the innocents that are living there, of course, you've got to feel sorry for them.
Mike, what people are saying that Israel have broken international law by, that's what David Lammy says, and I know that David Lammy, let's not start on him, otherwise I might not stop. But why do people think that Israel have broken international law? Why did they strike Gaza?
Look, the whole information campaign, excuse me, against Israel has been a remarkable success for Hamas. I've spoken to some of my own friends, and it takes me sometimes an hour to go through the history of what exactly has occurred since 1948. Some of the allegations are that they are stopping aid, and that's against international law. It is not against international law if that aid is being repurposed to the enemy. So on that front, there's no international law being broken at all. The fact that they're responding or continuing their conflict with Hamas is down to Hamas. This could stop today. All they have to do is lay down, Hamas needs to lay down their weapons and release the hostages.
Mike, how would you like to speculate as to how Donald Trump, the big power player in all of this, is going to respond?
Well, it's always difficult to predict what Trump is going to do, but his mood music is with the Israelis. So, and he himself, of course, has said that all hell will break loose if you don't release the hostages. So, I think right now that the Trump administration is 100% behind the Israelis.
But there was a ceasefire of sorts, though. And so people might argue that Israel have now struck and broken the ceasefire. Who broke the ceasefire and on what grounds?
Well, look, the ceasefire, if I remember correctly, was a three-staged approach, 42 days, I think, between each phase. But it was always going to be a continuous negotiation. So the ceasefire of that first 42 days finished. There was then a bit of an interregnum, for want of a better expression, whilst the demands for the hostage releases went on. That's not forthcoming, and therefore Israel is struck back.
Yeah. You know, Mike, we talk about negotiations, whatever, and you and I would have lived through the Northern Irish Troubles. And, you know, indeed. I never thought that was reconcilable. Never did I think that we would see peace. And yet I often look at the situation and the impossibility of our situation. And, you know, this is a much worse, on a bigger scale, what's going on in Gaza. But it gives you hope, does it not, that negotiation and the right type of talks involved in all of this could just lead to a breakthrough eventually?
I think that there is always going to be a solution. But until there's two major stumbling blocks, I'm afraid, in the region there. One is that there's a pay to slay program, which is active and running, where people in Gaza and indeed the West Bank are recompensed for upsetting the life of a Jewish community. And the more they upset it, the more money they get. And if they end up killing people, again, they get more money for that. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
The other thing that's going on is the education of children, of Jew hate. And of course, then you have generations of children who are reading comic books about how to kill Jews and the like. Whilst those two things are going on, I'm afraid there is little hope. That must be arrested and stopped.
Major Mike, thank you very much indeed for your thoughts and your analysis. Much appreciated. We say goodbye to you. Thank you very much.
All right, well, it's just coming up to 12 minutes after 6 o'clock. Moving on to this story. It's a big story. Sick and disabled benefit claimants will face more frequent reassessments as the government today sets out plans to reform the welfare system. Right.
The Work and Pensions Secretary is a lady called Liz Kendall, and she's expected to outline cuts up to £6 billion ahead of the spring budget statement next week.
Now, it is expected that most of the savings will come from cuts to personal independence payments, as well as making it harder to claim disability benefits.
There's a backlash, though, from MPs within the Labour Party, and Liz Kendall will try to persuade them by outlining a £1 billion investment into employment support.
Well, let's speak to disability advocate Big Brother star Kerry Richards, who uses PIP payments to pay for her specially adapted car. Kerry, thank you so much for joining us. So the PIP payments, I thought that PIP payments are actually quite difficult to claim, and they were one of the harder payments to actually get to. There are others underneath. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, you're not wrong at all. It's been the hardest. Every year you have to go for it, and you have to claim sort of between 3 and 5 years. It is without doubt the hardest. I don't qualify for any means tested benefits, so this is the only benefit I've ever tried to claim for. It's a 40-page back and front document. It's the most degrading document that you ever have to fill in. It's incredibly difficult, and it focuses on everything you can't do rather than the stuff that you can do. So it's I sob when I fill it in. It's and it's tough. It's really tough.
Do you know, Kerry, I look at this and I hear things and I really worry about the way people with disablements are being portrayed and painted, which is, well, there's nothing wrong with you. Or if you're claiming something, you know, you couldn't be as bad as you say you are. Now, I find myself in a wheelchair for the past 2 years. Goodness me, has my life changed to do this most simple thing, what you rely on. Now, I'm not claiming anything. Maybe I should be, I don't know. But I feel for everybody who's in that situation and how they're being branded.
Eamonn, do you know what? You're absolutely spot on. And even me talking to you here today, I will get a huge amount of backlash. People do not realise what it's like to live daily with multiple sclerosis. People have no idea that my life was turned upside down at the age of 24. I'm now 41. I gave birth at 16 years old. I didn't dream. It should have been the happiest time of my life. I didn't dream I was going to get diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I drive a hand control car. I cannot feel anything from the knee down, but people insist on having an opinion on absolutely everything. And you're quite right. You just, if you look okay, you must be okay. Yeah. How can you possibly be disabled if you can speak articulately on the telly or on the radio? It's
Kerry,
wrong. It's got
do you think you're an easy target then? Do you think these politicians, when they set out to make these cuts and that's playing to the public and the public are thinking, yeah, well, we can't afford all this, we could cut back on this and that and whatever. Do you think disabled people are an easy target?
I hope not, Eamonn, because we're not, and I'm ready for it.
Well, I think the public... Sorry, carry on.
I went to the Labour conference last year and I made it very clear when I had a really, really brilliant meeting and interview with Sir Stephen Timms that I want to do nothing more but work with the Labour government. Without doubt, PIP does need to be reformed, but what's happening at the moment and the scaremongering in the media, which is all that, you know, by them not speaking, it's not helping. We do need a reform on PIP, of course we do. Why should we're wasting huge sums of money by assessing me, for instance, every year? I've got multiple sclerosis. It's not going anywhere. There's no cure for it. It just gets worse. It's a progressive disease, as is Parkinson's, as are many other diseases, chronic long-term conditions. So why do we insist on necessarily assessing me every 3 to 5 years? With DLA, I got an indefinite award. That was took away from me because PIP was the new way forward. But actually now I need to be reassessed really quite frequently. That in itself could cut down a huge sum of money. I cannot be cured.
So
MS has no cure.
You're getting assessed because there is a danger, or someone thinks there's a danger, that you've got better and you haven't told anybody.
Absolutely that. There is a very, which doesn't ever happen, or that you might have lost it. I get that it works for people that have perhaps came in that have got at the time a disease that maybe could get better, an illness that could get better. Maybe there is a mental health issue that you're suffering with at the moment, and that with the right cognitive therapy, talking therapy, medication and support, it might be something that you can within 3 to 5 years maybe not need those particular. So I get why they do assess people, but surely there are some long-term conditions that they just know are never going to go. Speak to my... I desperately wish there was a cure for MS. There isn't.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think it's a lot of wasted paperwork. Does it irritate you, though, when you hear people claiming it for things like anxiety? Because, you can all get anxious, but where do you think the line should be drawn? Because really, I think those people have affected you, because a lot of those people are claiming benefits, whereas people like you, who should get benefits, are now having to sort of, in a sense, they're kind of focusing the government of targeting you.
Listen, I do get really fed up with wasted paper. Absolutely, that side of it, absolutely. But it's really hard for me to comment on anxiety or anyone that's struggling with mental health. I haven't had it myself, so I couldn't possibly cast aspersions. I can only imagine it's incredibly debilitating. Let's not forget, PIP is non-means tested, and if it means someone can get PIP, can claim PIP in order to get them into the workplace. Surely that's only a good thing. I think PIP is the wrong, I really do think PIP is the wrong benefit to be targeting, because it's about giving people the tools in order to keep them at work. I've never not worked a day in my life because PIP's enabled me to do that. I've always had an adapted vehicle to do that. I've had the hoist in the back of my car, which my scooter goes into. PIP for me is the wrong benefit to be looking at here.
Yeah, but you know, there's other things we could talk about, like, for instance, mobility and DVLA and all that sort of thing, because they see people getting cars and there's a jealousy about that, and that needs to be explained better and whatever. Kerry, I wish we had more time to talk to you, but it's fascinating talking to you and just putting meat on the bone here and just making this real for people. You're not a budget cut. You have a real life there, and it has to be funded in some way. We wish you luck. Keep well. Keep talking to us. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for having me.
Lovely to talk to you, Kerry. Do you know what really aggravates me, Eamonn? Is that we have these people coming across on the dinghies repeatedly every day, literally. We're paying 8 to 10 million a day for people who have never contributed to this country, in the main. Many of them shouldn't be here, and they've come here illegally, and we're spending a fortune on there. And they all get, when they get here, some of them will get their own person to help them out, a friend. They will get tickets to the zoo. They will get coaches, tennis coaches, and exercise 4 days a week, 3 times a day. It's absurd. That's what they should be looking at.
It doesn't really matter what they're getting. They're getting it, and that's the thing, and they're getting away with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, for these politicians, and all of them are included in this, all of them, you know, to talk about, oh, we've no money, there's nothing left in the cupboard, whatever. There is. There's money to do things. It's what you spend the money on, or what you politically spend the money, what you're forced to be doing, and you're not doing it. It's not going to where it should go. So you've made a cut on foreign aid, make a bigger cut, because it shouldn't be about foreign aid, it should be about national aid, and you get that sorted out first.
That's right.
Weather, Alex Deakin.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning, time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Cracking day today if you like spring sunshine. It will still feel quite fresh, certainly a chilly start, particularly in the wind in the southwest. There'll be another frost overnight tonight. Quite cloudy to begin with across parts of Northern Ireland, and some cloud across the southwest, but for many it is a sparkling day of sunshine. A brisk wind though across the southwest of England, South Wales, and quite a breeze too on some of these North Sea coasts, which could produce quite cloudy conditions across Shetland. But for most it's fine, dry, lots of sunshine. Temperatures just ticking up a little, double digits for many inland, but it'll feel cooler on those North Sea coasts, just 7 or 8 Celsius here pretty quickly tonight. Those temperatures will be dropping back down again under largely clear skies. We'll keep a fair bit of cloud and a bit of a breeze across Shetland, but elsewhere we will have generally clear skies well into the night, and that will allow those temperatures to start falling pretty rapidly. But generally a fine night to come, a night for stargazing across the Midlands, Wales and southwest England. Still a bit of a breeze across the southwest. That will ease slowly through the night, but will still be there. Temperatures will fall away under those clear skies, as I mentioned, so you can see that blue hue, the frost. The breeze in the southwest should help to keep the temperatures up here, but elsewhere we'll be down to freezing or a touch below, even in towns and cities and rural spots well below, -6, -7 in a few places. So a frosty start tomorrow morning. But again, for many, it's going to be a fine and dry day with plenty of sunshine. Perhaps a bit more cloud tomorrow, particularly in the far southwest, where the winds will be a touch lighter, but it's just a small chance of a shower here. Again, the risk of a bit of low cloud at times over the Northern Isles, but generally it's another fine day tomorrow with more blue sky. And after that frosty start, turning a little milder, and temperatures will continue to tick up through the rest of this week.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now, other big news thing, there will be a major policy speech by the leader of the Conservatives, Kemi Badenoch, net zero. She says it just can't be done in the time scale that there is. Fraser Myers with his take on this one. What do you think, Fraser?
I think she's absolutely right. I think she's right to go against net zero. She's right to say that it would bankrupt Britain to actually pursue this policy. I mean, already we've been pursuing something like it for over more than a decade now. Net zero itself came in 2019, but before that we had the Climate Change Act, and as a result we have in Britain the highest electricity costs in Europe, both for consumers and for industry. That's obviously taking money out of people's pockets, and it's hurting growth.
Security as well.
And terrible for energy security. Unfortunately, renewables are not secure. They don't work when the wind stops blowing and when the sun stops shining, and they end up costing us a fortune.
Why did they destroy these power stations? And I couldn't understand why they wouldn't just have them in reserve. But anyway, I was looking at a programme last night, and I do think that climate change is a danger. Lots of people disagree and whatever. But I was watching a programme last night on air turbulence. So airplanes flying in turbulence, and it's going to get worse. It's going to get much worse because the planet heating up causes rough winds and all that sort of thing, and it's going to be pretty bad. And there's so many things. Look at this flooding in Italy and Spain and whatever at the moment, and you think, well, look, something's wrong. We've got to do something, surely.
I think you do have to do something about climate change. It is a problem, but the way that we've gone about it, through the pursuit of renewable energy in particular, over things like nuclear, I think it's been a disaster. But there also just has to be a recognition of the costs and benefits. Net zero isn't just about electricity that we often talk about. It also means cutting back on farming, so that's going to cost our food security. It means changes to...
It's a racket. Net zero is a racket. I mean, if you look at COP30, this is going to be held in Brazil in a couple of weeks or so time. They have created a they're building a 4-lane motorway through the Amazon rainforest, so the delegates, some 50,000 of them, can get to the conference.
Yeah, not a good look.
That's absurd. And the whole thing is a racket. It's impossible to reach net zero, and they know that.
And every year at the climate conferences, they're always doing oil and gas deals on the side, and the hypocrisy is absolutely astonishing. And that's the other factor, is that, other countries, especially outside of Europe, they're not pursuing this policy. No. America's junked it, China pretends it's doing it, and that means that, our 1% contribution to greenhouse gases, we could reach... If we tried, even if we reached net zero tomorrow, it wouldn't make a difference to the planet.
The Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband, the Environment Secretary, do you think he's a zealot? Do you think is he the right man for the job?
I think he will have to go, or the Labour government has no chance of winning the next election, because there's no he simply cannot understand that this is pushing up the price of electricity. He genuinely thinks, or genuinely seems to believe, that A, this is all worth it, and B, that it's going to actually deliver lower costs for consumers and better quality of well,
that's the line they troop out all the time and expect us all to believe it.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Is he such an environmentalist that he thinks it doesn't matter and is just saying this? No. But some people are true believers. Some people believe that it's a good thing.
I think it's ego. He's come up with these. They're all trying to show their worth, so they've all come up with these policies. He announced a £22 billion drive towards net zero, pretty much the same day we learned of a £22 billion black hole. I would rather... This money that they're making or spending, they spent over 400 million on a windmill farm so that they could switch the windmills off. I would rather that they put the money into disability and all the things that we really need, into stopping those people on those flaming boats, than spending it on hot air, which is frankly what net zero is, and we all know it.
Yeah, and costs of net zero, the ONS estimates the Office of Budget Responsibility say it'll cost 1.1 trillion over the next couple of years, around 50 billion a year. There are obviously better uses for that 50 billion, and securing energy security would be a better use, and that would have much better serious knock-on effects on the economy that would be positive rather than negative.
Well, thanks for your take, Fraser. So is he just full of hot air today?
Full of gas.
Yeah. Or do you trust what he says? If he was your energy minister about all of this, your environment secretary, let us know what you think. Have your say. Very important that we get that and we reflect that today. Fraser from Spiked, thank you very much indeed. Always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you. Paul with the sport next.
No.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest,
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is-
you're
the failure is-
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Listen, Paul's here. He's got the sport for us on this.
Eamonn, you know what I'm not going to do?
What you're not going to do?
Because I'm sorry, but I'm fed up with Newcastle United now. I'm not going to do it.
I'm a Geordie. Why, eh?
Well, congratulations, because I thought they were magnificent, but that's it now.
You're over it?
Yeah, you? You still give it a bit longer?
Well, I do think socially it's an amazing thing. I mean, you tell us now.
I'm really happy that they...
I do think it touches... I think there still will be people hungover from Sunday.
Oh, I'm sure.
And feeling the after effects of it all. But I suppose you just can't treat it like, you know... I mean, and that was a team like Spurs not used to winning anything. I mean, you could compare it. I mean, if you did it, if you won something...
Yeah. Funny enough, my wife said the same thing.
Yeah.
Because it was Newcastle was on, and I'm like, oh. She goes, yeah, but it's only because you're jealous. I said, no, it's not. She goes, well, if it was Spurs, then how would you be then? I went, hey, OK, fair enough.
And the other thing is, it doesn't matter how much you win. I mean, I support a club. We were well used to winning stuff for 25 years or so.
Back in the day.
Back in the day. But you don't get fed up with it.
No,
you love. I mean, do you know? I hate people doing down the League Cup and the FA Cup.
See, I agree. I think the League Cup is a major trophy. It is. There's so few to win.
Yeah.
So why would anybody go, the League Cup? We go, the Carabao Cup.
And the FA Cup, we do not market it right. I mean, you look at that American Super Bowl, which is the most boring sport.
Yeah.
Awful.
It's awful. It's awful. and yeah, well, it's the everything that surrounds it, the show that surrounds it, and the act at halftime and whatever. Why don't we have that at the FA Cup?
See, the thing is, we would have, and that's the problem with the FA Cup, is because now there's so much football on TV.
Yeah.
Is when it was the only live football, everybody would watch it because it was so exciting. It was made such an event. Whereas now, it kind of... So you know what I think they should do? If you win the FA Cup, you get a Champions League place. How about that?
I agree with you.
How about that?
Upgrade it.
Upgrade it.
Yeah.
And then, because people have gone, oh, yeah, well, that's a silly idea, because then a team that didn't deserve it, wrong. Because if you can get to the final, then it's going to be... Anyway, that's another story.
I don't think they could have one of those big ceremonies because of DEI, because you can't... There'll be women with pom-poms. You can't have that because that's too sexist, or this or that. We won't be able to do any of that.
What's DEI stand for?
Diversity, equality and inclusion.
Oh, but you're not allowed pom-poms.
Well, I could just imagine women wearing nice things, doing things that will be seen as misogynistic or something.
I'm just thinking Taylor Swift or something at half-time.
You know, it's not just the pom-poms. They do other stuff as well, you know. It's not just... Look, Rory McIlroy. Let me tell you about Rory. Right. Big Manchester United fan. Rory, one of the greatest golfers in the world and arguably the finest there is at the moment. He won the Players' Championship yesterday in America. So it went to a playoff. So they start at 9 a.m. and Rory was really nervous, apparently, about the whole thing. He stayed up watching The Devil in Prada last night and then went back to sleep, and then he woke up because he was feeling very nervous. But he came through because JJ Spawn, who he was playing, world number 57, triple bogeyed the 17th. Yeah. And it was all a bit of a disaster for him. So Rory...
Poor man went into the water, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
But
and, you know...
The interesting thing is, you see, I think Rory's coming good, and he's buckled at this stage before.
He has.
This stage before. But... the Masters, the next big one for him. And, you know, he couldn't be in better form at a better time.
But I hate to say, I still don't think he's going to do it. Really? Because of that, I just think... See, if I'm looking at the last things he's won. 2014 was the last time he won a major. Open 2012-2014. PGA 2014. US Open 2011. And the thing is, Nana, the one missing... you've got the big tournaments. The one missing is the Masters. And that's what he wants more than anything else. And every year goes into it and just falls at the final hurdle. So it happens again. He's April. He's going to have another go at it. But whether he's going to do it or not... Okay.
Well, we always want what we don't have or haven't had.
Well, yes, we do.
Well, what Man United are going to do is raise ticket prices. Now, there's a lot made of this, and I totally get it. Totally get it. But...
5%.
Yeah, but you're only talking about 5%, and that is roughly £2.50 a game.
Yep.
So, you know, I know everything is going up, but is that the deal breaker?
Yeah, look, everybody is looking at Manchester United now. Anything involved in money, everybody's going to jump on it. Now, the supporters trust, they're saying, oh, it is less than we feared. We're still not happy. But like you say, it's £2.50 a game. But what's interesting is that they've got a senior discount. Now, this is obviously, you're nowhere near there yet.
I might qualify for that.
the United...
What do you get senior discount?
Senior discount, it was... they would track the state pension, so it would be at 66. So once you get to 66, you know, we're near there yet. It was 50% off the ticket price. They've now dropped it to 25%. People are complaining about it, but there's a lot of Premier League clubs that have got rid of it altogether. So it's all very well knocking Manchester United for this and going, oh, it's a disgrace, it's 25%. But there are a lot of clubs around that are actually saying, you know what, we don't want that. We're not going to do that for this because... they know that the money is coming from the youngsters coming through and they would rather younger people come, which I think is not
right. You know what's really strange? You know, and I sort of say this against myself. I used to go to Old Trafford and meet more Irish people than I would in Ireland, you know?
Sure.
Well, now that's all changed. The folks you see now are... Chinese, most of them, or of that sort of descent.
Being global, and they know there's money, and then there's packages that are set up in different areas, especially in Asia, because they know that that's where the next untapped market is. Let's get more people over from there because they'll spend more money, and that's what's happening.
They're doing it very well.
Now, this one, see if you can work this out. Now, the Bulgarian top-flight team, and I very rarely, I know, do I cover Bulgarian football. Arda Kadzal held a minute's silence on Sunday for Petko Ganchev. Arda and Levski Sofia, they both bowed their heads in memory of this man. It was there we are, it's a very sad moment. But something went very wrong where the club had to apologise. Have you got any idea what it could possibly be? Their club had to apologise after this, after the minute's silence, for Petko Ganchev.
Did they misgender him?
No. Nice guess. It's good news, though. It's that Petko Ganchev is in fact alive.
Oh.
So they've had the minute
Really?
silence. They'd heard he died.
No.
They're all standing there, heads bound. It's Petco going, I'm here, I'm alive. What are you saying?
Why did they think he was dead?
Well, they'd seen it on social media.
Rumours start, yeah.
Rumours start. And then they did all this. And so it's probably a nice thing for him. At least you see how much he was appreciated.
That's
so
true.
The club's now apologised and said, sorry, if it was me. I'd be, well, I don't mind. It's good news
So
is I'm alive. What's the
he's an
problem?
ex-player.
Ex-player.
A very old ex-player.
But not an ex-person, because he's very much an alive person. Still an ex-player, but not an ex-person.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. The Great British Giveaway. Let's have a go. Here it is.
Get a spring in your action and have a go. £17,777 in tax-free cash could be yours.
Spring has sprung with a Great British Giveaway, and we're giving you the chance to splash out this season with an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash. Jet off on your dream holiday, treat yourself to something special, or just save it for a rainy day. You'll also receive 2 brand new designer watches and a Mulberry handbag, so you can really look the part this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. On the M6 in Staffordshire, it's slow northbound between junctions 12 and 13 from the A5 Gailey interchange towards Stafford because of roadworks. West Midlands Metro services aren't running between Edgbaston and Centenary Square because of an incident. On the M1 in Northamptonshire, it's slow southbound towards junction 18, the A5 A428 Rugby turn because of roadworks. There are some cancelled trains between Ipswich and Cambridge after a train broke down. In Wiltshire, the A361 is closed in both directions between Highworth and Inglesham after an accident yesterday lunchtime. There are delays of up to 20 minutes to trains out of Waterloo Station in London through Clapham Junction because of a faulty train, and delays building on the M26 in Kent towards the M25 because of roadworks. And that's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here with an exclusive opportunity just for you, our incredible GB News viewers. We're giving you the opportunity to win a VIP studio tour right here at GB News HQ. Plus, you'll also get to meet yours truly. It's easy to enter, just head to gbnews.com/community competition and follow the easy steps. Don't miss out, enter now, and I'll see you soon at GB News. Full T's and C's apply.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now, here we are in Lent. We had a day off yesterday because even God realised that 40 days and 40 nights was a bit much, so St Patrick's Day gives you a day off.
Oh, I see. That's very good.
Well, it does if you're Irish, you know.
Of course, you can give up for that day.
But anyway, Christians right across the whole world are observing the practice of Lent, and we are bringing you daily reflections from ministers around the country. Today's message, Anna?
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, I'm Chris Tufnell, the vicar of Uterbridge Parish Church. A few years ago, I was in my parents' living room when I heard a clattering sound and a bird fell down the chimney out of the fireplace and onto the floor. We looked at each other for a moment. I'm not sure who was more shocked. And then the bird went crazy, flapping all over the living room, spreading soot everywhere. I needed to use something to catch it, so I grabbed a towel that was lying nearby and used it like a net. But every time I got close, it clearly thought I was going to hurt it, so it flapped away. Until after a few minutes, I managed to catch it, took it to the door and let it fly away. I think many of us, when we hear about God, instantly think he's come to harm us or restrict us in some way, when the truth is, he's come to set us free. Jesus said, "I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." And I can honestly say that the more I've let Jesus take hold of me and my life, the more I've trusted him, the more I've found that he has come to set me free.
That's today's reflection on Lent, and I hope your Lent is going well. Front pages of the newspapers, Nana?
Well, we'll start with the Daily Mail. That's leading with Kemi Badenoch, because she's poised to ditch the previous Conservative pledge, by the way, to reach net zero targets by 2050.
The Daily Mirror says, "Don't punish the needy," as unions warn against the government's plans to slash billions of benefits.
And it also comes as the Times, which reports sick and disabled benefit claimants will face more scrutiny.
And finally, very, very, very grumpy reports. The Daily Star's Snow White CGI dwarves face more backlash. Talk about all those things. Joining us to chat about the headlines, former Conservative MP Anna Firth and former political advisor James Schneider. Don't like this former business anyway.
But she is former.
They're active.
They are former.
Well, she's a political commentator.
Neither do I.
Which one do you prefer?
Neither do I.
Yeah. So let's talk, James, first of all, about this benefits cut situation, which we're going to hear more of about lunchtime today.
Mm-hmm. Well, Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves' war on the British people in order to protect the wealth of the super-rich continues today, picking on sick and disabled people.
But, James, could I ask you why? Could I ask you
why are they doing it?
Yeah, bear in mind, I mean, this really puzzles me. This is a socialist government.
No, it's not.
What are they then? Because they're the Labour Party. They're supposed to represent the working man, the working person.
They're supposed to, but I think Health Secretary and darling of Keir Starmer's Labour Party, Wes Streeting, summed it up pretty well in Parliament the other day when he listed a whole series of unpleasant, anti-people things that the government was doing and then goaded the Tories saying, you wanted to do these things, but we're really doing it. It is in no way a socialist government. It's not one that is pursuing what you would call basic Labour values. It's one that is continuing cuts and austerity against the majority of people. It's finding ever new ways to pick our pockets. And it's doing all of it because it doesn't want to either break with the militarism that is demanded upon us by the US or to tax the wealth of the very super-rich who have got hugely richer over the last 15 years. And instead, it's going to drive 700,000 people with disabilities into poverty. That's after cutting the winter fuel allowance for pensioners.
They have driven out the super-rich, though. They have. And that's why a lot of the super-rich are living.
Apparently 12,000 have left the country.
Already, and it's not just...
I didn't say drive out, I said tax. I said tax, which they haven't done.
Well,
so, for
they
example, they haven't
driven them out.
No, they haven't.
Well,
so they haven't brought in, for example, a wealth tax on financial assets of over £10 million, say, which could bring in a substantial amount of money. And if people left, you could still tax them because it's a tax on assets. It's not a tax on the people. If the people hold assets, they can be taxed.
Anna, what does this say about Keir Starmer?
Oh, I mean, what this shows is that Keir Starmer came into power. He said he was going to do something about benefits. He had absolutely no plan, and now when he comes out with a plan, it's actually a horrendous plan, because what he's actually doing here is picking on the most disabled and the vulnerable part of the welfare state. What he should be doing is tackling the sick note culture. That is what the Conservatives put in their manifesto. We have now nearly 3 million people claiming sickness benefit. Our plan was to stop GPs from being the ones who are responsible for giving out all of these sick notes. What the Conservatives have actually done on welfare is very good. We've cut the welfare bill by £12 billion every year from 2010. That's what Keir Starmer should be doing as well.
Well, we'll see. We can follow what he does because he's still doing it. He's got 4 more years of it, but stay with us, still to come. More with Anna Firth and James Snyder. First, if you're in search of some winter sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European holiday destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Plenty of sunshine through the middle of the week for Italy and Croatia. Some chilly winds blowing across Greece and Turkey. Strong winds and more rain to come for Spain and Portugal. Some places here could see a month's worth of rain over the next day or so. Some of that showery rain affecting the Pyrenees and the south of France. Much of Italy dry and sunny. Plenty of sunshine over the Greek islands, but that northerly wind will be bringing a chill. But temperatures will be recovering slowly in Santorini over the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Well, the end of February marks the beginning of the holy month of Ramadan, and the Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer was quick to wish all Muslims Ramadan Mubarak.
Yes, he was, and the royal family also took to their Twitter feed, and they have millions of followers to mark the occasion, sending their best wishes to Muslims in the UK, Commonwealth and all around the world.
Which is all very nice, and quite right, of course, because there are many, many Muslims who are in the Commonwealth, which the royal family heads. However, what's been said for the Christians?
Zippo.
Because there's been a deafening silence from, well, the royal family, politicians and many others as Christians mark the beginning of Lent, despite the fact the King is, of course, head of the Church of England.
Yes, it's all rather disappointing. Shall we get the reaction of the former chaplain to Queen Elizabeth II, Dr Gavin Ashenden? Thank you very much indeed, Gavin, for coming on. Are Christians being forgotten in this country? I am taken aback by the fact that the royal family would take to their Twitter feed, which is watched by millions of people, to celebrate the holiday of Ramadan, but no mention of Lent, no mention of Shrove Tuesday, no mention of Ash Wednesday, nothing.
Yes, it's all very odd and it's not easy to understand because, as you quite rightly said, it's the right and courteous thing to do to wish Muslims well on what is for them a very important feast day. Why would we not want to be courteous and generous and supportive to people quite rightly pursuing their own religious devotions? But it's as well as two-tier policing, we appear to be having two-tier religion in this country because, as you say, there's complete silence for the Christians who still make up nearly 50% of the country.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Discussing the news stories of the day, James Schneider and Anna Firth. Guys, Kemi Badenoch is going to make a big keynote speech today. This is the most important speech that she has made, and it's going to be, Anna, on net zero.
Yeah, well, I mean, I completely agree with her. We've made huge progress as a country already to get rid of emissions. We're the first major economy that's phased out coal power from 40%. Now it's zero. We do not need to continue with this target. As a country, we produce less than 1% of the emissions in the whole of the world. It doesn't make any sense to constrain ourselves to this target and make us all worse off. I agree with that.
I don't think it's even a great thing that we have no coal power. I think it's awful. James?
Well, climate breakdown is already making us worse off. It's part of what is leading to inflation in our food prices, and it's going to get much worse. We can't afford to not transition rapidly to a new energy infrastructure.
Says who?
Says all of the available science.
The ones that have been funded by governments who are heading towards net zero?
No. All of the available science by everybody.
Everybody? No.
Yes, by every serious scientist, every research institute in the world that monitors this stuff shows that we need to make rapid changes because we cannot continue long-term with a fossil fuel system, which means that we need to have a transition. Things like moving from coal to gas, of course, is a very good thing, but in 50 years' time, regardless of whether we pursue headlong into warming the planet and melting the ice caps and so on and so forth, we aren't going to be on fossil fuels because then there's not going to be any fossil fuels left.
You don't know what the planet's going to do.
Anna's point is we're only 1% of the problem.
Less than 1%, yeah.
If there is really a problem, we don't know what the planet will do. They can't even predict the flaming weather, for God's sake.
That is a completely ludicrous thing.
I don't think there is. I think that what I see is a planet. What I see is that most of the emissions, which are carbon emissions, are produced by the Earth itself. The amount that we put in is a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction, and I don't believe that we have the power. I don't believe we've got the power to do it. And I also think that a lot of the policies we've put down, if we really seriously were trying to stop carbon emissions, we wouldn't be doing them.
And
I would love to have the self-confidence.
We wouldn't be investing in a company, Great British Energy, that doesn't produce any energy, and it's going to cost us all £8 billion.
They don't believe it. They don't believe it. They're going through the Amazon.
Well, listen, I watched a documentary on telly last night about Thames Water. I think it was on BBC Two.
Yeah.
I could not believe that they have a licence to do anything except destroy the planet.
It should be taken away from them. I mean, all water should be in public hands. It's an obvious natural monopoly.
Yeah.
It's a natural monopoly, and the shareholders, to be honest, should get nothing. Collectively, all the water companies, they've been paid more than £70 billion in dividends since they were privatised. They should just be taken back. They've not done a good job.
Well, but there's a problem there, which is where will the money come to take them back?
I just said don't pay them anything.
We don't have the money to take them back.
Of course we have the money to take them back.
What we do need to do is threaten... The only way we're going to solve the water companies
It's got our contributors talking. I hope it's got you talking as well. Have your say. Get in touch. Do just that. We're going to look at the weather situation for this Tuesday now.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. Trains have been stopped between Cleethorpes and both Barnetby and Barton-on-Humber, where overnight engineering works have overrun. There are some cancelled Nottingham Express transit services, and also some cancelled trains between Shrewsbury and Wolverhampton because of a signalling problem. M6 in Staffordshire's blocked northbound, where overnight roadworks have overrun between junctions 12 and 13 from the A5 towards Stafford, causing queues. West Midlands Metro services aren't running between Edgbaston and Centenary Square because of an incident. There are some cancelled trains between Ipswich and Cambridge after a train broke down. In Wiltshire, the A361 is closed in both directions northeast of Swindon between Highworth and Inglesham after an accident yesterday lunchtime. And on the M26 in Kent, it's taking 20 minutes in queues approaching the M25 because of roadworks. That's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
We're giving you the chance to splash out this season with an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash. Jet off on your dream holiday, treat yourself to something special, or just save it for a rainy day. You'll also receive 2 brand new designer watches and a Mulberry handbag, so you can really look the part this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
this is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
They catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
It's very good. Are you not going to read?
Oh, so it just said Eamonn. I was leaving it to you. Good morning
But
to you then.
I'm like that. I say, give other people a chance.
Thank you, Eamonn. All right, well, let's do it. The government unveiled a once-in-a-generation reform to the benefits system.
Right, and that's what we're going to be talking about and concentrating on this hour. Number 10 are going to defy any sort of backlash in this and announce changes to sickness and disability payments, which is very controversial.
But is the biggest holdback actually work-shy Britons?
I do. Breaking news overnight, Israel-Hamas ceasefire has collapsed. Israel launched a barrage of airstrikes. Hundreds of Palestinians are reported dead.
We honour Margaret Thatcher.
Sorry.
Not just.
That's Kemi Badenoch. She's been heckled by climate activists ahead of her biggest speech yet. Stay tuned to find out what she's planning to say about net zero.
Here we are, pothole crisis. It's never going to be fixed, despite what any of them say. They're talking about £17 billion to do it. So where's the money for that going to come from? Answer, it's not. Have your say. We're going to be debating that.
And the royals head to Rome. The King and Queen will visit Italy next month for a once-in-a-generation state visit.
The Princess of Paddy's Day, Catherine, sips on a pint of Guinness before putting money behind the bar for the Irish Guards.
And in the sport, Rory McIlroy says he's played better than ever after he won the Players' Championship yesterday. He's now joined Tiger Woods on winning over $100 million so far. Premiership Rugby are going to trial designated away ends for supporters. And there's a new Premier League ball that Mikel Arteta will not be happy about.
Yes, it's a little chilly out there this morning, but for many it's a blue sky day. Plenty of spring sunshine today and again tomorrow. Although it'll be cold tonight with another frost, it will get warmer as the week goes on. Join me later for a full forecast.
On this Tuesday morning, a very good morning to you. This is GB News Breakfast. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Nana Akwe.
Now, a lot of you may think there's no difference in what I'm about to say, but Paul Coyte is about to talk balls.
I am.
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk balls now, or maybe talk balls later?
Just give us a flavour.
There's a new Premier League ball. And Mikel Arteta, do you remember there was during the Carabao Cup, he complained about the ball?
I do.
Well, the ball is a Puma ball, and Puma are now taking over from Nike to provide the new Premier League ball for next season, which is the one that Mikel Arteta didn't like.
So they supplied it during the League Cup campaign, and now they're Premier League.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But so would Arteta be on his own, or what is his?
He's the only one.
Right.
Because when they lost, he was complaining the fact he didn't like the way the ball net moved. And he said there was something dodgy with the ball. So now it's going to be that ball that they're going to have to play with in the Premier League next year.
Oh. Well, listen, Paul, will you be here telling us more? Should we cross over live now to Westminster and speak to the Shadow Secretary of State for Scotland and Energy, Andrew Bowie. Andrew, welcome to the programme. Andrew, so let's talk net zero. Because Kemi Badenoch's about to discuss that we're never going to be able to reach the targets at 20, and she wants to push them back. What's your take on this?
Well, look, what Kemi's going to be announcing today is the beginning of our policy renewal programme. That's where we're going to be taking a deep dive and long look at developing policies that will hopefully enable us to win back the trust of the British people and put us back into government in 4 years' time. And as a part of that, we have to start being honest with the British people. And it's quite clear that we cannot reach net zero by 2050 without significant trade-offs. That means either becoming poorer as a nation or becoming more reliant on overseas countries for our energy supply. Neither of those things are things that we as Conservatives are willing to countenance. And so today kick-starts that process of developing sensible policies to get to net zero, but without an arbitrary target that will make this country poorer.
Yeah, but Andrew, this was a Conservative policy. You guys are the ones that came up with this nonsense.
Well, look, we are very proud of what we've done when it comes to decarbonising. We decarbonised faster than any other country in the G7, built the fifth largest offshore wind farms in the world, but it's crunch time right now. And frankly, these guys, the government they're in right now, are not being honest with the British people about the trade-offs that will be required if we are to rush headlong towards our 2050 target. Of course we want to leave the world in a better place in which we inherited it. That's an inherent Conservative belief, but we do not believe in setting arbitrary targets, and we do not believe in our country being made poorer or more reliant on overseas interests as a result. And that's why Kemi's announcing what she is today. And I think it's very sensible. And I think that more detail will be coming from Kemi later, and then from the whole programme, which is going to be moving forward over the next few months.
So roughly you're talking about the same sort of policies. We move forward, caring for the earth, but at a slower pace.
Look, essentially, yes. What we're saying is that we want, of course, to leave this world in a better place than the one in which we inherited it. Of course we want to decarbonise, but we want to do that in a sensible and managed way. The fact is the pace that we're heading right now will make this country poorer. Some £319 billion over the next 15 years is what it will cost. It will result, the CCC, the Climate Change Committee themselves, have said it will result in the decimation of around 20 million head of cattle and lamb in this country as a result of the changes in our living styles that they want to see. And indeed, look where Ed Miliband is right now, surrendering British energy sovereignty to China because we simply do not have the manufacturing base in this country to build the renewable technology that we would need if we were going to meet that target of 2050. All of that is wrong in our view. We want to hit pause, take a long, hard-headed look at where we are, how we can decarbonise sensibly to the benefit of the British economy, the British people, and indeed our energy security.
Are you in any way in agreement with the Labour government over the benefits cut situation that we will hear today?
I think we're more in agreement with the Labour government over reducing the huge welfare bill than the Labour Party is with the Labour government, frankly. The big difference between the Conservatives and Labour on welfare is that we are united in wanting to drive down the welfare bill and reform welfare in this country. The Labour Party is all at sea. I think the infighting is plain for everybody in this country to see. They haven't got a plan, they don't know what they're doing, and the British people are suffering as a result.
But you could almost argue they're doing exactly what you wish you would have done. Surely you must support what they're doing.
Well, look, had we been returned to government, we would have been reforming welfare. We'd have been continuing on the process of what we begun when we were still in office, which was a fully costed plan to reduce the welfare bill by about £12 billion to get more people into work. We had begun that work post-COVID. And of course, if the Labour government were going to come up with sensible, pragmatic and forward-looking plans that delivered that, then they would have our support. But we do not know the detail of what they're going to announce. And thus far, it looks like Keir Starmer is walking back from his initial plans because he's capitulating to the hard left of the Labour Party, and that is not acting in the best interest of the country.
Andrew, just explain to me what is going wrong with these payments. I mean, are you saying that when people are going to doctors and saying there's something wrong with me, I can't do this, I can't do that they're being misdiagnosed?
I think there's an overdiagnosis problem in this country. I do agree with the Health Secretary when he says that. I also think that we've got far too few people of working age in work who are voluntarily choosing not to go into the workplace. That's bad, not just for their own mental health or their families, but actually for the wider British economy and GDP overall. So, as I said, we went into the election with a manifesto commitment to reduce the welfare bill by £12 billion, to get more people back into the workplace. That's good for them, good for the families, good for their communities and good for the country. And thus far, we don't know the full detail of what Labour are going to announce today, but if it's in any way close to that, then they're on the right path. I just worry that this Prime Minister does not have what it takes to get what needs to be done because he's beholden to the left of the Labour Party.
There seems to be a lot of people defecting, though, from your party at the moment to reform. Are you concerned and worried about that?
Well, no, I'm not concerned in any way by Nigel Farage's fake defection announcements yesterday. I think there was only 7 new names on that list of defections. We're focused on doing the hard work of renewing the policy platform that the Conservative Party has, so that when the time comes, in 4 years' time, and we go to the British people to ask them who they want to govern this country, that they take a long, hard and serious look at the Conservatives and what we're offering so they can turf this failing Labour government out of office.
Well, let's hope they've got short memories.
Andrew, thank you. We've got to leave it there. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Andrew's got questions to ask the electorate. We've got a question to ask you today in our poll of the day. Today's question is...
Do you agree that Kemi Badenoch, that net zero by 2050 is impossible? I think we could have all told them the answer to that before they even thought about it.
Martin Dobbity's show from 3 o'clock will bring you the final result on that, but have your say right now. gbnews.com/poll. Now, we're going to talk about this benefits cut situation today. People on sickness and disability benefits will face more frequent reassessments under new plans you're going to hear about at lunchtime from Liz Kendall. Liz Kendall is the Work and Pensions Secretary.
Now, she is expected to outline cuts worth £6 billion, and that's, of course, ahead of the spring statement next week, where Rachel Reeves will be announcing her proposition.
OK, but this is all going to be a bit of a balancing act, we have to say about this, to try and avoid a full-scale rebellion. Earlier, we spoke to disability advocate and Big Brother star Kerry Riches.
I thought that PIP payments are actually quite difficult to claim, and they were one of the harder payments to actually get to. There are others underneath. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, you're not wrong at all. It's been the hardest. Every year you have to go for it, and you have to claim sort of between 3 and 5 years. It is without doubt the hardest. I don't qualify for any means tested benefits, so this is the only benefit I've ever tried to claim for. It's a 40-page back and front document. It's the most degrading document that you ever have to fill in. It's incredibly difficult, and it focuses on everything you can't do rather than the stuff that you can do. So it's I sob when I fill it in. It's it's tough. It's really tough.
Do you know, Kerry, I look at this and I hear things and I really worry about the way people with disablements are being portrayed and painted, which is, well, there's nothing wrong with you. Or if you're claiming something, you couldn't be as bad as you say you are. Now, I find myself in a wheelchair for the past 2 years. Goodness me, has my life changed to do this most simple thing, what you rely on. Now, I'm not claiming anything. Maybe I should be, I don't know. But I feel for everybody who's in that situation and how they're being branded.
Eamonn, do you know what? You're absolutely spot on. And even me talking to you here today, I will get a huge amount of backlash. People do not realise what it's like to live daily with multiple sclerosis. People have no idea that my life was turned upside down at the age of 24. I'm now 41. I gave birth at 16 years old. I didn't dream. It should have been the happiest time of my life. I didn't dream I was going to get diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I drive a hand control car. I cannot feel anything from the knee down. But people insist on having an opinion on absolutely everything, and you're quite right. If you look okay, you must be okay. Yeah. How can you possibly be disabled if you can speak articulately on the telly or on the radio?
But
it's
Kerry,
wrong. It's got
do
to
you
stop.
think you're an easy target then? Do you think these politicians, when they set out to make these cuts and that's playing to the public and the public are thinking, yeah, well, we can't afford all this, we could cut back on this and that and whatever. Do you think disabled people are an easy target?
I hope not, Eamonn, because we're not, and I'm ready for it.
Well, I think the public... Sorry, carry on.
I went to the Labour conference last year and I made it very clear when I had a really, really brilliant meeting and interview with Sir Stephen Timms that I want to do nothing more but work with the Labour government. Without doubt, PIP does need to be reformed, but what's happening at the moment and the scaremongering in the media, which is all by them not speaking, it's not helping. We do need a reform on PIP, of course we do. Why should we're wasting huge sums of money by assessing me, for instance, every year? I've got multiple sclerosis. It's not going anywhere. There's no cure for it. It just gets worse. It's a progressive disease, as is Parkinson's, as are many other diseases, chronic long-term conditions. So why do we insist on necessarily assessing me every 3 to 5 years? With DLA, I got an indefinite award. That was took away from me because PIP was the new way forward. But actually now I need to be reassessed really quite frequently. That in itself could cut down a huge sum of money.
Now, if you are in Kerry's situation and this is affecting you or you fear it will affect you and you've got something to say about this, please do get in touch and have your say with us today and we will try and reflect this. Kerry will be back. She's got to leave her kids to school, as you do. And then she's going to come back, and from 9 o'clock today, she's going to be taking updated questions and points of reference about all of this subject.
Yeah, brilliant woman. All right, let's... now, if you want to spring into action and have a spring in your step, it's a chance to win a fabulous designer handbag too, highly sought after.
I'd love
designer watches.
Handbag.
Would you? Man bag.
I'm not good on that. No, I don't do man bags, no.
You don't?
No, I should, though.
I don't think it would suit you.
I end up with pockets full of rubbish, but you're right.
I don't think it would suit you, Eamonn, actually, a man bag.
But what would suit me is £17,777, tax-free. Have a go.
Spring has sprung with a great British giveaway, and we're giving you the chance to splash out this season with an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash. Jet off on your dream holiday, treat yourself to something special, or just save it for a rainy day. You'll also receive 2 brand new designer watches and a Mulberry handbag, so you can really look the part this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Luck indeed.
Well, yeah, good luck, and I hope it's a good shock realisation for you to see that prize. Here's another one which it'll be a shock realisation, but in a bad way. One pothole, right? One pothole is filled every 18 seconds every day for the past 10 years in England and Wales, but
Well,
not that you'd notice.
No,
you know,
exactly.
because they disintegrate again. The repairs aren't good, and it's a big issue that could cost you up to £17 billion in tax.
The chair of the Asphalt Industry Alliance, David Giles, joins us now. David, I didn't realise what a huge problem this is in terms of people complaining about it. Obviously, I'm so used to them, I think I've just ignored the fact that they're there all the time.
How can you ignore it? I mean, I hear what you're saying. I
just...
cannot go out without seeing every single day, and there is not one good road in the country. When I see a bit on a motorway and I think, well, that's a nice surface, I can drive better on that, that's nice. But, David, these are few and far between, are they not?
Yeah, they are indeed. Look, we've reached the highest level of backlog in road maintenance that we've seen in the last 30 years. Only 1 in every 6 of our roads is now in a situation where it's needing repair. We have huge amounts of our road which are in a very poor condition. And your viewers will know this when they're travelling to school or travelling to work, and especially those cyclists who have to travel on these local authority roads, which are in a dreadful condition.
David, could I say something controversial? You are part of the problem, I would say, because whatever you're coming up with, this asphalt isn't good enough. It's not right for what we need. We surely need scientific advances to put forward a new type of filler, because asphalt isn't it.
Well, actually, you know, we only resurface our local authority roads once every 93 years. So are you surprised that we see what you're looking at on the screen now, which are these dreadful potholes? That's a symptom of the huge underinvestment that there's been in the local authority roads year on year. For 30 years, we've been reporting that the local authorities just haven't had enough money to sort out the condition of the roads. And so, therefore, potholes appear. They're a symptom, not a cause.
But they do. These councils are given a lot of money. And actually, you see them doing all these roadworks towards the end of the financial year, where they close everything off to make sure they still get the funding. So what it really is the problem? They do get money, don't they, surely?
Well, look, it's anecdotal that you only see the roads being repaired, you know, in the short period of the year. Actually, you know, our workers are out there every day of the year, keeping the traffic moving, keeping the cars and the lorries and the school buses moving. The reality is, it's like going to the dentist, having 5 holes in your teeth and only having enough money to have 2 filled. And that's what's happening year on year on year. And so now we're near a crisis point. You have got so many potholes that it's becoming a situation that there has to be a change in mindset by the government as to how they fund local authority roads.
Yeah, well, I personally don't think it's fixable. I don't think it'll ever be right again. I remember years ago being in the USA and looking and thinking, thank God we don't have roads the way they do in America. But we do now. We do. They're that bad. They're that poor. But also where I would point the finger, David, is towards utility companies who go along and they can dig up anything. They put down this cable. You know, the video companies do this. Then the gas company comes along and digs up what they've repaired. Repaired's too strong a word. And then they put a thing down. And then the electricity company comes along and da-da-da. I mean, the abuse of what roads are now used for, which is, you know, a straight line to put down all these cables and things, it's just, I mean, what else do we expect if that's the way we're going to treat our roads?
Look, utility openings certainly don't help. It's absolutely true. As soon as you disturb the road surface, water can get in, it can freeze, and then the freezing causes the cracking open of the road surface. So it's absolutely true, it doesn't help. but that's only a small portion of the problem. We need to realise that with the amount of funding that local authorities are getting, they simply cannot manage to keep on top of all the work that is needed. If we were able to catch up with that backlog, then you'd start to see an improvement in our road service.
David, you know and I know you're not going to be able to catch up. You know they're not going to give you the money for it. You know they will say there is no money, and you also know that they spend it on rubbish in this country and around the world and whatever. Why isn't there the political will to sort this out? Is it just too great a task?
Well, if you think that we spend 30 times more on our motorways than we do on our local authority roads, then maybe there just needs to be a dynamic shift in funding. So rather than saying, no, it just is impossible, my view as an optimist and with hope is that we can start to see this change in mindset to a longer term funding. Local authorities don't know how much money they're going to get for the repair of the roads from year to year. And even when they get that money, it's not ring-fenced. And so some of it disappears off into other areas of local authorities.
Yeah, well, I don't know why they... it feels like a never-ending cycle. I think some of these roads, they just need to start again. David Giles, thank you very much. He's from the asphalt industry.
David, we're going to be talking about this throughout the programme today, so thank you very much indeed for your contribution in all of this. But I wouldn't like to be in your shoes. I just don't think anybody's going to release the purse strings for this to happen. But thanks for your contribution today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Right, let's get an update. Thank you very much, David. Right, time to get an update with your weather with Alex Deacon.
A chilly start will give way to a lovely, warm afternoon. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Cracking day today if you like spring sunshine. It will still feel quite fresh, certainly a chilly start, particularly in the wind in the southwest. There'll be another frost overnight tonight. Quite cloudy to begin with across parts of Northern Ireland and some cloud across the southwest, but for many it is a sparkling day of sunshine. A brisk wind though across the southwest of England, South Wales, and quite a breeze too on some of these North Sea coasts, which could produce quite cloudy conditions across Shetland. But for most it's fine, dry, lots of sunshine. Temperatures just ticking up a little, double digits for many inland, but it'll feel cooler on those North Sea coasts, just 7 or 8 Celsius here. Pretty quickly tonight those temperatures will be dropping back down again under largely clear skies. We'll keep a fair bit of cloud and a bit of a breeze across Shetlands, but elsewhere we will have generally clear skies well into the night, and that will allow those temperatures to start falling pretty rapidly. But generally a fine night to come, a good night for stargazing across the Midlands, Wales and southwest England. Still a bit of a breeze across the southwest. That will ease slowly through the night, but will still be there. Temperatures will fall away under those clear skies, as I mentioned, so you can see that blue hue, the frost. The breeze in the southwest should help to keep the temperatures up here, but elsewhere we'll be down to freezing or a touch below, even in towns and cities and rural spots well below, -6, -7 in a few places. So a frosty start tomorrow morning. But again, for many, it's going to be a fine and dry day with plenty of sunshine. Perhaps a bit more cloud tomorrow, particularly in the far southwest, where the winds will be a touch lighter, but it's just a small chance of a shower here. Again, the risk of a bit of low cloud at times over the Northern Isles, but generally it's another fine day tomorrow with more blue sky. And after that frosty start, turning a little milder, and temperature will continue to tick up through the rest of this week.
A nice bright morning will generate a lovely warm day, right through to the evening. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new Royal Newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest,
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them.
then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
And with the time approaching 7:30, a quick look at some other stories coming into the newsroom.
Two NASA astronauts stranded aboard the International Space Station for 9 months are finally on their way back to Earth. Sunita Williams and Barry Wilmore are currently on SpaceX Dragon capsule travelling back home. The rescue mission started almost a week ago. Their arrival is expected later today.
The last surviving Battle of Britain pilot, John Hemingway, has died at 105 years of age. John, also known as Paddy, died peacefully on Monday. He played an important role in fighting the Nazi air raids in 1940 after the fall of France.
The Princess of Wales marked St Patrick's Day with the Irish Guards Regiment in London. Catherine met soldiers who have recently returned from Iraq and presented shamrocks to officers and guardsmen. Catherine later joined the soldiers for a drink, but some put some money behind the bar and even sipped on a pint of Guinness.
I've been there to the Irish Guards headquarters, the barracks there, because I found out, I knew my grandfather, my mother's father, was an Irish Guard. And he fought in the First World War. And he joined up in the army. He was 29, I think, at the time, which was regarded as very old. But he joined up to avenge the death of his brother, who was killed in the Royal Irish Rifles. But he wanted to fight against the Germans because of that.
Oh, bless
and
his
then
heart.
he got wounded and died of his wounds as well.
Oh, that's so sad. I can't see Generation Z or whatever they are. They won't want to go into the army, will they?
Well, you're quite right there. And who would blame them?
Well, they can get benefits, can't they?
Well, so let's talk about this. Generation Z. Now, I'm not sure what the heck that means. What,
just
young people?
Lazy people.
Lazy people, young
They'll
people.
hate that.
Okay.
No, yeah.
So what are they going to do as regards to this benefits bill? A study revealed that 40% of youngsters are considering they are going to quit work over things like mental health and work-life balance.
It's all right for some. So this morning we're asking, is Britain damn right work shy? Well, joining us to discuss this is businessman Mike Green and Head of Operations at the Autonomy Institute, Jack Kellum. Welcome to both of you.
Yeah. First of all, as regards the working practices and how people view work, Mike, do you think you've got a generation who are work shy?
I absolutely do. We call them Generation Z, but it's more Generation Lazy.
Lazy.
The reality is we're not making it attractive enough.
Oh, I think we're losing
for them to go to work. Minimum wage is only found these PIP payments.
Oh, I think we've got communication problems there.
OK. Let's ask the same question to Jack. Jack, do you think that generations that are lazy, work shy? That's what Mike was saying.
I think when we have this conversation about the work ethic in the UK, we've actually got to look at the context, look at the evidence here, not just rely on some of the stereotypes maybe we have about different generations. So evidence in the TUC in the last month has shown that £450 million a week is lost to work-related ill health. But workers, including Gen Z workers, are putting in £31 billion of unpaid overtime every single year. We have some of the longest working hours in Europe. I think we've got to really put some evidence in this debate around the work ethic and think that actually we work really, really hard in the UK. That's spread across Gen Z as well, who are working some of these really hard occupations too.
Do you think that? I think a lot of people would say that these are the generation that were quite mollycoddled. They are described as being less hedonistic than the previous generations. They've got a lot, and you're hearing somebody who's in the business of employing people saying, actually, a lot of young people are quite lazy. They've seen that they can get benefits. And the mindset that my parents had, which was you don't want to pick up benefits, that's almost shameful in some respects, even though I don't think it is, but that's it. But they don't seem to have that at all.
Look, you mentioned earlier about work-life balance and this increased interest and focus on work-life balance. So we've seen actually in recent years that working less and a desire to work less doesn't mean doing less or producing less in work. Trials of a 4-day working week have shown that not only can you improve people's well-being, which is really high up the agenda for many people nowadays, particularly after COVID, but you can also improve the productivity and output of most businesses too. So I think rather than blaming parts of the workforce for a desire for great work-life balance, we should be looking at policies which have got great evidence to support.
Hold on, I just want to come back to what you said about people working fewer days, and there are trials that show that at the beginning they were very productive, but then later on their productivity fell. So they were given they did the trials, didn't they? And they were very good at the start because they probably thought, yeah, this is wonderful. And then as they got used to it, their productivity fell. That's how it really went.
Well, we were involved in organising a trial of 61 UK companies who started working a 4-day working week in 2022. We found that actually 2 years later, those productivity gains have been maintained across all those 61 companies that were participating. So the evidence is coming in for the 4-day working week. Productivity gains can be maintained. People can settle into a new rhythm and take on more productive practices. So I think we can see the evidence really mounting up that we shouldn't have this direct relationship between working longer hours and doing more. And a desire for people to do differently, to have a better balance, isn't about being work shy. It's about having a proper place for work in their lives and turning up to work refreshed too.
It doesn't work for everyone, does it?
Mike, we'll give you the final word now that we've got you back on board there. What would you say about Generation Z? How do we fix this problem? Is it fixable?
Well, it is, and a lot of the
Oh, I think. No, I'm afraid.
Gentlemen, thank you both very much indeed, Mike and Jack. But, technology is wonderful when it works.
Yeah, well, listen, still to come. Paul Coit with sports. And also make sure you stay tuned later because we'll be revealing what happened to this kitten in peril.
Now, you saw this. You saw these pictures and this moved you greatly. And, oh, dear.
So he's on a balcony. He's about 3 floors up. And even him with his 9 lives wouldn't survive the fall with that. So he's hanging on with his claws.
Is this going to fall and die and be splattered all over the pavement? Or not?
No.
We'll show you after this. Don't go away.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. There are delays up to half an hour with some cancelled trains between Cleethorpes and both Barnetby and Barton-on-Humber because of overrunning engineering works. There are some cancelled services on the Nottingham Express Transit and some cancelled trains between Shrewsbury and Wolverhampton because of a signalling problem. Some trains on the West Coast Main Line between Birmingham New Street and Wolverhampton having to divert. Now in the West Midlands, Birmingham New Road in Dudley is partly blocked southbound by an accident at the junction with Tipton Road causing delays. There are some cancelled trains between Ipswich and Cambridge after a train broke down. In Wiltshire, the A361 is closed in both directions northeast of Swindon between Blackworth roundabout at Highworth and Inglesham after an accident yesterday lunchtime. On the M26 in Kent, it's taking 40 minutes in queues approaching the M25 because of roadworks. Trains have been stopped southbound from Poole to Weymouth because of a signalling problem. That's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news situation to bring you, and French riot police are clearing over 400 migrants who have been occupying a theatre. This is in Paris, in central Paris, and they've been there for more than 3 months.
So as officers began, hundreds of demonstrators gathered to protest the eviction. We'll be bringing you more of that throughout the day. I can say this was actually where they were saying refugees welcome, refugees welcome. They opened up this theatre, and they couldn't get rid of them. They refused to leave after that.
Well, looks as if they're not going to have much say in it now, and we'll keep right across that and let you see what is happening as the sun comes up in Paris. Paul Coit. Paul, we were...
Must have been a hell of a play. So anyway, so yes, Rory. Should we talk about Rory?
Rory McIlroy won the Players' Championship yesterday because it went to a playoff, so it ended up playing on a Monday morning, and which is great because he's won 3.5 million quid. It gets him ready for the Masters, which is the only major that he still hasn't won. And should we hear from Rory? They spoke to Rory, and I think asked to describe what his day was like in one word. Not easy, is Rory McIlroy.
Hey everyone, this is Rory McIlroy, your 2025 Players' Champion. I've been asked to describe this week in one word, and I would say a battle. It was a battle most of the way. Conditions, even going into Monday with JJ, battling, the golf course, battling my emotions. So this was a battle, but a battle I was thankful to come out on top in.
Yeah, thank God, as you say. And next big battle for him is
Masters, April.
Yeah, so the timing's good of this.
Back to Augusta, just all depends how he's going to... It's so difficult to be able to tell, because when you've got big golf tournaments like that, to be able to choose who the winner's going to be, it's going to be down to a few. But when you've got 4 rounds of golf, anything can happen, and it's much harder to predict who's going to win in golf, I think, probably than anything else.
At least they stopped wearing those the outfits where they look like Rupert the Bear. Do you remember those checkered trousers?
What, the +4s?
Because I can remember many years ago watching golf, and I was transfixed. It was the time when Padraig Harrison actually won.
Yes.
And I thought, wow. But the commentary is really funny, and I found it quite amusing because you just see these grown men just with these weird hats and these silly things.
Well, that's what golf's all about, then, Anna.
Into the sand and getting so serious, and it was
some sport to get
it is, yeah.
Do you know,
all the gear, no idea. A lot of people use it.
Belfast is a village, and Rory, obviously born and bred in Belfast, and he attempts to have a home in Belfast, to be there when he can be, but he's travelling around the world, whatever it is. But my brother, Brian, did his carpets.
Did he?
Yeah, he came in. So Rory phoned up and asked Brian, because he knew my father was a carpet fitter and Brian's a carpet fitter, and so he got Brian to do his carpets.
I bet he had lovely carpets, though, didn't he?
He had lovely
shag pile all across. yeah, with Rory. But lovely. Look, should we talk balls for a second?
Yeah, go on.
25 years, the Premier League has had a Nike ball, which has been the Premier League ball, whereas now it's going to be Puma. Puma have won the contract for that. Let's have a look at this. I think we've got a picture of the ball. It's a football. But that's it anyway.
But what could possibly be different, Paul? Why is there such controversy about something like this?
Well, the thing is, Mikel Arteta complained. He was the only one that complained when Arsenal were knocked out of the Carabao Cup, because they used a Puma ball for that. And he said that it was a little light, that the ball was going over the bar, so it was down to the ball. It was nothing to do with these players. But everybody else has said how good the ball is. La Liga use it, Serie A in Italy use it, but Arteta is the only one that's not too happy with it. But there's some great footballs over the years, and I think if we can have a look at some of these and see if you can tell me what year you think these balls are from. Some classic footballs. Right, let's go with the first one. Now, there's
that's an old one.
Red, old style 71. With the panels. 71?
Oh, no.
It was used for a very, very famous game.
That's the 66.
66 is right. So that's the ball.
I've held that.
You've held the ball?
I've held that, yeah.
Have you really?
The 66 World Cup final.
Have you?
Yeah. The thing is, there was that ball there, which is leather, whatever, and then there was a plastic version or a rubber version, which was called about 1970, the Bobby Moore regulation size 5 ball.
That's right.
That we could go to the newsagents and buy.
With the panels.
Panels,
yeah, I remember
black lines. Right.
All the black. I've got another one for you. There's some other ones. Now, there's your classic football, but what year would you say?
77.
77?
Yeah.
No, I think they used that in 70 or 72.
Maybe 71. I'll go back to my old age.
He's on the money. 70.
I was going to say 71.
1970 World Cup, and then later in the 74 World Cup. One more.
I'm going to get.
But it was part of your life.
That's some.
That looks old.
Look at that. See, it's got the lacing on there. We even had laces on old footballs when I was a kid.
I think 56.
I'd say 45.
Got to go earlier, 30.
Oh,
That's going back to 1930. And the best of all, have we got another one?
Finally.
Look at these. These are just lovely looking at these. That's my most favourite one of all.
85, 86.
Oh, a little bit before Tango, and it was used for a World Cup Adidas 90.
Mexico, no, Spain, España 82.
They used it for Spanier 82, but it was Argentina 78.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, yeah.
I actually remember
Beautiful
that was exciting. That was an exciting World Cup.
It was.
So it was.
All right, listen, Paul, we've got to go because Anna and
Archie Gemmel's
James.
goal against...
against Holland.
Yeah, brilliant.
All right, that's enough of this sport.
It's enough. It's too much for you, isn't it?
Let's move on. Listen, Anna Firth and James Schneider are coming through with the papers. First, if you're in search of some winter sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European holiday destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Plenty of sunshine through the middle of the week for Italy and Croatia. Some chilly winds blowing across Greece and Turkey. Strong winds and more rain to come for Spain and Portugal. Some places here could see a month's worth of rain over the next day or so. Some of that showery rain affecting the Pyrenees and the south of France. Much of Italy dry and sunny. Plenty of sunshine over the Greek islands, but that northerly wind will be bringing a chill. But temperatures will be recovering slowly in Santorini over the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
SpaceX latest Starship exploded over the Caribbean Sea.
I was wondering where it had gone.
Yeah, debris could be seen falling back to Earth moments after the Starship launched down from Boca Chica, Texas. The rocket, of course, was unmanned. This was the 8th test flight, and it was only meant to be in the air for an hour. But, importantly, the booster for this rocket was caught with those Mechazilla chopsticks in an impressive display, the 3rd time that's happened.
Those Mechazilla chopsticks? This is Elon Musk's spaceship, isn't it?
Tell.
Starship, sorry.
Yeah.
Planetary scientist Andy Lound could tell us more about this. Andy, so was this a disaster or is this just a little obstacle to success?
Yeah, good morning. Par for the course, really. This is what kind of good afternoon. Par for the course as these things go on. The whole point of the tests, he's going to do 25 tests this year alone. And the interesting thing about this is you actually see the staging of it, where you've got the first stage, the booster, and then the second section, which is the ginormous rocket, which actually lifts off. The first stage, they seem to have got that cinched now, how it works quite well, coming back and landing in the chopsticks, absolutely breathtaking. The second stage, the Starship, was actually the new version of it, which they're testing out completely. And unfortunately, the first testing, the last test failed, and that was due to, it looks like, some frequency issues, which caused a frequency to go too high, which caused damage to the piping, which led to a fuel leak and a fire, which led to destruction. They made a lot of modifications, which led to test 8. And unfortunately, though, it has failed again. So they need to have a look at exactly what the issues are which are causing these failures.
GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Anna Firth and James Schneider join us to review the newspapers this morning. Very nice to see you folks. Thank you very much indeed. We just want to start with this situation in Paris. So this is these pictures coming in from central Paris. And Nana, you can tell us the story here.
Well, it's what happened was it's a theatre that some activists decided that migrants would be welcome in. So they invited migrants to go and be there. However, they couldn't get rid of them. That's the problem. So police on Tuesday started carrying out a large-scale eviction of them. Anna.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's absolutely right. I mean, you know, this is a real case, isn't it, of being careful what you wish for. You know, all very nice to invite these people in, but then what do you do when they actually don't leave? And I think that the police here are doing absolutely the right thing. This is a theatre. You know, this is a business. These are people's jobs. You can't have a theatre occupied indefinitely by illegal migrants. The issue here, Nana, is why can't we do the same in over here?
Well, you know, actually it was probably all part of a ploy because they knew that they would be evicted from the theatre and then the French authorities would have to house them.
Well, I don't think that's the case because what they were calling for through the occupation, as far as I can work out, is to be housed. Their demand was that unoccupied buildings in Paris were used to house people, and I think a great number of these migrants are children. They're homeless children. So they weren't trying to stay there forever. And indeed,
no, they weren't. That's the point I'm making.
And the theatre as well, I saw a statement from them about a month ago calling on the Parisian authorities to house them. On account of the fact that they're homeless minors who, of course, the theatre can't...
Hang on a minute, James. They are claiming to be minors. It's not established that they are all minors.
So in this news report from Agence France Presse, which is the wire service of France, generally reasonably reliable, you know, they say they've interviewed someone who claims to be 15, who's going to school.
Well, a lot of them, look, you can claim to be any age, but that might not be true, as we know some of them do lie.
But I think in general terms, if there is a risk that there are homeless children there,
right,
probably the authorities should go in and see if there are homeless children
and send them back to their parents
and support them in whatever way, which may be finding their parents. It may be something else. We don't know what the individual situations of each person is going to be.
We look at the refugee situation on the Gaza Strip as well, and now that the ceasefire has been breached by Israel last night. What do you make of the situation there, Anna?
Well, it's not exactly a surprise, is it, that Netanyahu, on the very day that his corruption case is due to be held, he launches this, you know, wide-scale distraction. The thing I find most depressing about this is the fact that he's not actually allowing food to get into the Gaza Strip. We have to, at a minimum, allow humanitarian aid to come in.
How do you know that? And also, we all are aware that Hamas commandeer things that are safe havens for people and use their own people as shields. There's no debate about that.
Well, what I would do, Nana, I totally agree with you. The actions of Hamas are absolutely deplorable. And let's not forget that they started this recent terrible escalation. But where the food convoys are going in, I think they should be protected by UN peacekeepers.
It depends if they're used honourably, doesn't it? And they might not be.
It doesn't depend.
It does.
No, it doesn't. It is a grave breach of international law to engage in the collective punishment of the population, which is exactly what has happened. Shutting off food is collective punishment.
Do have to look
Shutting off electricity is collective punishment. Preventing desalinization plants from creating fresh water is collective punishment. Destroying over 90% of the buildings of Gaza, razing it to rubble, is collective punishment. That's collective punishment against 2.2 million Palestinians.
You are not taking into account what is being used by Hamas. If they are using
people schools, are being used.
If they're using people, if they're using all the safe havens as places to attack Israel, then those places are no longer safe havens.
Even if what you were saying is true, which it is not.
It is true.
No.
It is true.
OK, but even if it were true...
It is true.
That is no excuse under international law, because Israel is the occupying...
You're wrong.
No. I'm sorry.
Absolutely wrong.
Israel is the occupying power, has duties to protect the life of the people it is occupying.
Yes.
Clearly, as we've seen overnight, the indiscriminate bombing, which has killed over 350 people, according to sources on the ground this morning, is not care for life. Shutting off humanitarian aid is not care for life.
You are, again, not taking into account what these bases are being used used for. And also, you have to be aware that Hamas use their own people as shields, and that is a problem. But Israel would be left completely defenseless.
But, Nana, you have had, just in the past few weeks, you've had tens of thousands of people who have crossed that border, again, in the hope of... They've been told the violence is over. They're told that they can go back and try and make a home out of something like that we're seeing there again. And these people, this is a terrible irresponsibility and terrible betrayal.
But are Hamas not following the deal with the ceasefire? If they're not...
They are. Actually, Israel that has refused to go to phase 2 of the of the agreement. Phase 2 of the agreement was meant to have the full of Israeli troops from Gaza.
We're not going to solve this today. Hamas absolutely started this recent escalation and Israel responded. But now we have got to get both parties to agree to a ceasefire.
OK. We've got to leave it there, guys. Thank you very much indeed. Anna and James are going to be back in about 40 minutes' time, so stay tuned for that. We'll bring you the latest on what's happening in central Paris as well. 400 migrants being occupying a theatre in central Paris. We'll bring you more on that after this.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. There are delays of up to half an hour with some cancelled trains between Cleethorpes and both Barnetby and Barton-on-Humber because of overrunning engineering works. Some cancelled services too on the Nottingham Express Transit. Delays of up to 20 minutes to trains between Shrewsbury and Wolverhampton because of a signalling problem. And some trains on the West Coast Main Line between Birmingham New Street and Wolverhampton having to divert. Now in the West Midlands, Birmingham New Road in Dudley is partly blocked southbound by an accident at the junction with Tipton Road. In Wiltshire, the A361 is closed each way to the northeast of Swindon between the Blackworth roundabout at Highworth and Inglesham after an accident yesterday lunchtime. On the M26 in Kent, it's taking half an hour in queues approaching the M25 because of roadworks, and trains have been stopped southbound from Poole to Weymouth, and that's because of a signalling problem. That's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
You could be the next big winner of the Great British Giveaway, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. Cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag, and not one, but 2 sought-after designer watches, so you can style it out this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
They catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Tuesday morning as the government unveils once-in-a-generation reforms to the benefit system.
Number 10 will defy ministerial backlashes to announce milestone changes to sickness and disability payments.
But is the biggest holdback on this actually work-shy Britons?
Breaking news. Overnight, the Israel-Hamas ceasefire collapses. Israel launches a barrage of airstrikes with the backing of Washington.
Honour Margaret Thatcher. Not just.
There you see Kemi Badenoch heckled by climate activists ahead of her biggest speech. Today, stay tuned to find out what she's planning to say about net zero. Andrew Bowie, who is the Shadow Secretary of State, had this to say.
Today kickstarts that process of developing sensible policies to get to net zero, but without an arbitrary target that will make this country poorer.
A pothole crisis. Repair backlogs reach a new high, £17 billion.
Heading to Rome, the King and Queen will visit Italy and the Vatican next month for a state visit.
Yes, Buckingham Palace pressing ahead with plans for the King and Queen to visit the Vatican despite the Pope's ailing health. The King has privately written to Pope Francis. More details shortly.
The Princess of Paddy's Day. Catherine sips on a pint of Guinness before putting money behind the bar for the Irish Guards.
And in the sport, well, Rory McIlroy says he's playing better than ever after he won the Players' Championship yesterday and has now joined Tiger Woods on winning over $100 million. Not bad. Manchester United are going to try and save money by putting season ticket prices up, and Premiership Rugby are going to trial designated away ends for supporters.
Yes, it's a little chilly out there this morning, but for many it's a blue sky day. Plenty of spring sunshine today and again tomorrow. Although it'll be cold tonight with another frost, it will get warmer as the week goes on. Join me later for a full forecast.
Just after 8 o'clock, a very good morning to you. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Nana Acquare, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Online, on radio, on TV, however you're watching or listening, you're very welcome. This is GB News Breakfast with Eamonn and Nana today.
Yes, good morning to you all. Good morning to you all. Right, loads to get through today.
We have indeed. And Mr. Paul joins us as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to more sport, Nana?
Literally.
I love that.
But my eyes roll to the back of my head and they survey my skull as you guys are talking about.
Well, maybe I'll try just a little harder then in 20 minutes and we'll see how things go.
It'll be very interesting, I suspect, yes.
OK, people on sickness and disability benefits are going to face more frequent reassessments under new plans set out by the government.
Liz Kendall, she's the Work and Pension Secretary. Now, she's expected to outline cuts which will be worth £6 billion, and all of this ahead of the spring statement next week.
But with mounting backlashes from MPs, the Secretary is playing a balancing act to try and avoid a full-scale rebellion. More now from our political correspondent, Catherine Forster, on this. Catherine?
Yes, well, good morning. We will finally get the details of this around lunchtime when Liz Kendall, the Work and Pension Secretary, will stand up in the House of Commons, and then the full Green Paper will be published, about 80 pages we're expecting. Worth saying, it was supposed to happen last week and it was pushed back. Such is the scale of unhappiness within Labour ranks. There's been groups of MPs going into number 10 for them to try to talk them around. But, you know, a lot of Labour MPs did not come into power expecting or wanting to cut people's benefits, but the government say, frankly, that they've got no choice. They say that the welfare bill is completely out of control. It's certainly ballooned since the pandemic. Just to give you a couple of figures, the total amount that we're spending on health and disability benefits, currently £65 billion a year. If things don't change, that's forecast to go up to £100 billion by 2030. Huge, huge sums of money. And the government simply says they can't afford it. They want to shave £5 billion off that. But a lot of unhappiness within Labour, a lot of concern for the people who currently get these benefits, wondering whether they're going to be cut and what it's going to mean for them going forward. There are some little bits of good news for people that might be worried. For instance, the government are going to introduce this right to try work scheme, which means that you can try getting a job, and then if it doesn't work out, you can go back to the benefits you were on previously. More employment support, and also people with the most severe conditions likely to have fewer assessments for personal independence payment. But other than that, there's going to be big cuts coming. Not clear exactly yet who is going to be worst affected, but a lot of disquiet and a lot of unhappiness within the Labour Party.
All right, Catherine Forster, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm just reading that the cost of PIP, which is the main payment that people claim for extras, they're given that money to do what they want with it. They're expecting that to rise from 15 billion to 37 billion by the end of the decade, which is obviously unaffordable. Ridiculous.
Well, while you were sleeping last night, we've got some breaking news overnight. Israel has launched extensive airstrikes now on the Gaza Strip. 200 people at least dead or missing, according to the Gaza Health Ministry.
Benjamin Netanyahu has threatened increasing military strength as hopes of a lasting ceasefire are dashed.
Meanwhile, the Foreign Secretary David Lammy claims Israel is breaking international law.
Well, let's get more from former soldier and Conservative MP Tobias Ellwood. Tobias, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. David Lammy is saying that Israel are breaking international law. Is that correct in your view, in your interpretation of what they're doing?
Well, he has seen the evidence, and it would be for the international law courts to determine whether that absolutely is the case. I would disagree with the way Israel is prosecuting this war. Today, everybody's attention was supposed to be on that potential ceasefire in Ukraine, with Putin and Trump finally having direct talks. But now they're firmly back on the Middle East, where it's clear that that ceasefire, the Gaza-Israel ceasefire, has very much collapsed. And this will delay potential hostage releases. It ends any discussions that were taking place, as well as the potential removal of Israeli forces from Gaza. And it's also stopped those important aid convoys from going through, and removes any possibility that we're going to see an end to this war.
Yeah, but
what Israel has not been able to do is translate those enormous military successes which they've had on the battlefield, quite rightly, to take up battle against Hamas, given what they did on the 7th of October. But it's not been translated in any form of long-term stability that works for both Israel and Gaza. And then when you look at what Gaza looks like today, that is why the international courts and indeed the Foreign Secretary have concerns about the manner in which this war is being prosecuted.
Yes, but Israel are not really ones to strike for no reason. So there must have been a reason for them to strike. So why did they strike? Did Hamas break the agreement in some way? Maybe not militarily, but did they break that agreement in some way?
Well, you're talking about this particular case, this action of the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been prompted because there have been delays in Hamas meeting the agreements to release the remaining hostages. That hasn't taken place. And so we've had this huge scale of attacks that have taken place up and down the Gaza Strip. As I stress, Hamas's ability to fight has certainly been reduced. There's no doubt about that. It's lost thousands of fighters. But it's an ideological, political movement. And the scale of this destruction, not just in the last couple of days, but over the last year or so, has actually been used as a recruitment sergeant to attract more youngsters, particularly youngsters, to join Hamas's cause. So I 100% agree with Israel's right to defend itself, to go after Hamas. It's the manner, it's the strategy which it's adopting, which I'm afraid is actually not working for the benefit of Israel and wider Middle East security. And it's worth pointing out that, as I stressed, all eyes were on Ukraine and Russia. But we have Syria not in a good place, Lebanon not in a good place. And now we see any sense of an agreement, a ceasefire or a peace plan in Gaza and Israel falling completely apart.
But they're being provoked. They're being provoked, but this is a PR gift, isn't it, to Hamas in a way, who, as we've already seen, don't really care much for the people in Gaza. By the looks of things, they use them as shields and all this sort of thing. So with now everyone's turning to Israel and saying, how come, look at what you're doing, but Hamas are not meeting the agreements for that ceasefire to continue?
Yes, I mean, you're absolutely right there. Hamas is using this to its advantage. But if we don't want Hamas running the country, if we want Fatah, we want those leaders in the West Bank, or if we want some form of technocratic operation run by neighboring states, that isn't going to happen as long as Hamas remains popular. And as I stress, that what Israel is doing militarily is actually playing into Hamas's hands.
Tobias Elwood, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for your update. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. The weather situation. I thought yesterday was going to be all warm and
That's
lovely.
what I thought as well. They lied.
Yes, some
They
papers
lied.
have been saying that. They did lie. It was freezing. Let's see what it's going to be like today. Alex Deacon, good morning.
Despite the morning rain, it'll be a nice, warm, cosy day ahead. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Cracking day today if you like spring sunshine. It will still feel quite fresh, certainly a chilly start, particularly in the wind in the southwest. There'll be another frost overnight tonight. Quite cloudy to begin with across parts of Northern Ireland and some cloud across the southwest, but for many it is a sparkling day of sunshine. A brisk wind, though, across the southwest of England, South Wales, and quite a breeze, too, on some of these North Sea coasts, which could produce quite cloudy conditions across Shetland. But for most, it's fine, dry, lots of sunshine. Temperatures just ticking up a little, double digits for many inland, but it'll feel cooler on those North Sea coasts, just 7 or 8 Celsius here. Pretty quickly tonight, those temperatures will be dropping back down again under largely clear skies. We'll keep a fair bit of cloud and a bit of a breeze across Shetlands, but elsewhere we will have generally clear skies well into the night, and that will allow those temperatures to start falling pretty rapidly. But generally, a fine night to come, a good night for stargazing across the Midlands, Wales and southwest England. Still a bit of a breeze across the southwest. That will ease slowly through the night, but will still be there. Temperatures will fall away under those clear skies, as I mentioned, so you can see that blue hue, the frost. The breeze in the southwest should help to keep the temperatures up here, but elsewhere we'll be down to freezing or a touch below, even in towns and cities and rural spots, well below, -6, -7 in a few places. So a frosty start tomorrow morning. But again, for many, it's going to be a fine and dry day with plenty of sunshine. Perhaps a bit more cloud tomorrow, particularly in the far southwest, where the winds will be a touch lighter, but it's just a small chance of a shower here. Again, the risk of a bit of low cloud at times over the Northern Isles, but generally it's another fine day tomorrow with more blue sky. And after that frosty start, turning a little milder, and temperature will continue to tick up through the rest of this week.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The actress Felicity Kendall, who was the star of the sitcom The Good Life, one of the stars. What a cast that was, actually, when you think about it. In the 70s, she was saying she had a great time when they used to record that at Television Centre in Wood Lane in London. And since they made that, she feels the BBC has lost its mojo as regards comedy. I don't think ITV even do comedy anymore.
Not really, do they?
But there is, I have to say, one exception where I disagree with Felicity, is that there's a comedy drama on the BBC at the moment called Amanda Land. And it stars I
haven't seen it. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah. What's her name's in it? Oh, gosh,
I don't know.
But Amanda Land, it is so funny. It is very, very good. And there's a big Irish cast in it actually as well. What's her name there?
Amanda Land. I don't know what her name is.
Well, who's the most famous person you can see there?
God, what's going on?
Oh, God. Sorry, I started all this.
Oh, I don't know. What's her name? Cameron knows her name. What's her name?
Lucy Punch.
Lucy Punch.
She plays Amanda.
Yeah, I think it's the lady there. She looks like Joanna Lumley, but it's not Joanna.
It is
Joanna
Lumley.
Yeah. Oh, it's her mum. She's playing her daughter. Yeah, Joanna Lumley. Oh, she's sensational. I love Joanna Lumley.
And Joanna Lumley is the actress, and her daughter as the actress. They look so like each other. You can believe that they're mother and daughter in this. But I just want to do a call out.
Watch that.
I just think, Cameron, sometimes it's nice to give a call out to certain things on telly because there's so much tosh on, and that is really, really good. And the serious drama you like at the moment?
Yes, on Netflix, called Adolescence. It's a 4-part drama, the most brilliant drama I've seen for years. And the reason being is that each episode is filmed in one continuous hour-long take, and the star of the show is a 13-year-old boy who has no acting training whatsoever. He's from Liverpool, and his performance is just exceptional. You have to watch it. Yeah,
I'm still stuck on Married at First Sight. I love them. It's just such great watching.
I started watching that at the weekend.
Stop,
I would never watch anything like that. This is the Australian version, isn't it?
Yeah, but you couldn't stop. Admit it, Eamonn.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. I thought there was because, you know, I believe that love is a brilliant thing. If you find love, it is a brilliant, super thing for anybody who has it.
That's why everyone's looking for it.
And you've found love.
Oh, yeah, we will. Oh, sorry. Well, less about us, though. Let's get back to Cameron now. Buckingham Palace, pressing ahead with plans for the King and Queen to visit Rome as Pope Francis recovers from pneumonia.
OK, Cameron Walker here to tell us more about that.
Yes, of course. The Pope, currently in hospital still, in Rome, the Gemelli Hospital, still suffering with pneumonia. Now, I understand that the King has written privately to the Pope following his ailing health. Buckingham Palace in daily contact with the Vatican because we are expecting this state visit to the Holy See to go ahead next month. And there has been, for a number of weeks now, a question mark whether or not it can go ahead. Right. From my understanding from speaking to royal officials, the outlook for the Pope looks pretty positive at the moment. So it's going ahead as planned between the 7th and the 10th of April. So because of the proximity, clearly, of the Vatican, Italy is also on the card. So it's 2 separate state visits, one to the Vatican, where there'll be a historic audience with the Pope and King Charles, and one to Italy, where the King will meet Prime Minister Meloni, of course. And, of course, state visits are organised by or at the request of the British government. And we know that Italy is of particular importance because it's a NATO ally. Prime Minister Meloni was in London 2 weeks ago for the security summit hosted by Sir Keir Starmer in the wake of the Russian aggression that we're experiencing, the world is experiencing at the moment. And we're expecting a joint flypast between the Royal Air Force and the Italian Air Force in front of the King and the President of Italy, showing the military strength, a symbol of military strength. So that's kind of the idea with the Italian state visit. I'm sure there'll be some trade talks going on as well. But we'll have to wait and see whether or not the Pope is well enough to attend all of the events with King Charles and Queen Camilla, because, of course, they may say the outlook remains positive, but he's been in hospital for over a month now. He is still battling pneumonia. And are they going to have to change plans last minute for the King and Queen to visit?
All right.
Well, but I'm sure they'll be able to do that if everybody knows rightly in advance. The thing that's more unpredictable is the weather situation, terrible flooding, the earthquake situation in Italy as well. It would put me off travelling anywhere in the world.
And the King is expected to meet farmers who have been devastated by that flooding, particularly in Ravenna in the north of Italy as well. The King, of course, a huge champion of climate change and sustainability.
All right, Cameron, listen, you're back at 9. Thank you very much. That's Cameron Walker.
Yeah, I was just going to say, look at other stories coming into the newsroom. This is what we've got for you. The last surviving Battle of Britain pilot, that's John Hemingway, has died. He's 105 years of age. He was also known as Paddy, and he died peacefully on Monday. He played an important role in fighting Nazi air raids in 1940 after the fall of France.
2 NASA astronauts stranded aboard the International Space Station for 9 months are finally on their way back to Earth. Sunita Williams and Barry Wilmore are currently on a SpaceX, I think that's Elon Musk's company, Dragon capsule, travelling back home. The rescue mission started almost a week ago. Their arrival is expected on later today.
And the Princess of Wales marked St Patrick's Day yesterday with the Irish Guards in London. She met soldiers who have recently returned from Iraq and presented shamrocks to officers and guardsmen. Catherine later joined the soldiers for a drink, and this is this reflects very well on her. I think she put some money behind the bar, so as well as drinking some of the profits there as well. Very good, very good. What are you laughing at?
Well, I was just thinking about her putting money behind the bar. I didn't think they carried money.
Well, maybe your card or something. You know, I think it's really good. People who are generous like that and who would do things like that for others. I just think it's really nice.
What, you mean spending our money?
Yeah.
I'm quite happy for our money to go to the Royals. I think they're an absolute asset, big net benefit.
There are those who would never think of it. There are those who run a mile when it comes to paying for a round of drinks, of course. If you're in company with people, then they disappear and go to the loo and things with that. But it never ceases to amuse me. I can always tell who's not going to pay, who disappears. Whatever, but to put money behind the bar, I think that's excellent, excellent. Now, the spring giveaway, you'll be able to put plenty of money behind the bar here, £17,777. Have a go.
Spring has sprung with a great British giveaway, and we're giving you the chance to splash out this season with an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash. Jet off on your dream holiday, treat yourself to something special, or just save it for a rainy day. You'll also receive 2 brand new designer watches and a Mulberry handbag, so you can really look the part this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and this is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, weekdays from 9 p.m.
Well, let's talk about something that has really divided opinion now. So this is King Charles gearing up for a religious festival, not Easter, Ramadan, packing dates for Muslims, observing a month of fasting. Here's the clip.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize the king would be so fast. You are packing dates faster than I can see them.
What do you make of that, Charlie?
Well, I don't see any problems with it. I mean, let's not forget that the royals, particularly the king, does an awful lot of work with a variety of charities, especially those charities that help people who are, down on their luck or need a bit of extra boost. This one is a doorstep charity, which it provides help to people waiting for new homes. Now, you mentioned this one. This is for Ramadan. Now, in a month's time, Patrick, he'll be doing the Easter service, a Christian festival, and he'll on the day before Good Friday, he'll be donating the Monday money that comes out every year to 30-odd pensioners. It's not a princely sum. They're not going to be able to pay the winter fuel outs, or it's not going to cover anything like that. But it is symbolic. Now, he does an awful lot of things. And remember, years and years ago, Charles has always said he didn't want to be defender of the faith. He wanted to be defender of all faith. So it's only right that the king fosters good relationships with a variety of religions.
As well, Charles, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to have you on. Good to see you again, mate. It's been a little while. It's Charlie Ray there.
GB News, the People's Channel.
With
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now, throughout the programme today, we've been talking about potholes, how bad the whole situation is, how much money is needed. We're talking billions here to make a dent in all the dents that are on our roads. Joining us now in the studio, we say hello, good morning to Ben Roding. Ben is from JCB, and he is part of the Pothole Partnership. So, Ben, what is the Pothole Partnership? Who's in it? What are you trying to do?
Well, we created the Pothole Partnership with JCB, the AA, British Cycling and the National Motorcyclist Group. What we tried to do is combine industry and road using groups. I think the voice of those different sectors, the people that really feel the pain of potholes, to really drive that vision to fix our roads.
But you can't drive that vision unless government are going to write cheques. And they're not going to write cheques. And no matter what any of them say, this money isn't ring-fenced. There isn't money ring-fenced for roads. And my goodness me, it is so obvious. As a matter of fact, Ben, I would say to you, it's got to the stage where I don't think it is repairable. I think it's gone beyond.
What we see with current technology is 12 years it would take to really catch up on that backlog we face with potholes. So you're absolutely right. You know, that money is not there, so what we need to do is use it more effectively. And what we see is what we need to do is move from reactive, temporary repairs into a permanent repair. If you're going to close that road, if you're going to fix that pothole, why not do a permanent fix?
Well, certainly the temporary fixes don't work.
It's too expensive, isn't it? What's wrong with it, though? Because other countries their roads don't collapse like this.
They do.
So is it?
They do.
But they're not as bad, though.
Well, they are.
You've been to, go to Portugal.
Yes,
go to
Portugal,
France.
the roads are rubbish.
No, they're not.
The only roads that are any good in Portugal are the ones paid for by the Central European Union. And Ben's nodding his head there. It's certain motorways and things. Otherwise, and I know Portugal very well,
You're just
the roads
saying
are
that
rubbish.
because you like Eamonn more than
They're
me.
absolute rubbish. and I tell you, governments around the world have identified we don't have to pay for these roads, actually. We'll get away with this for another 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and it's on the never, never.
Is it technology, then? Can they make it better? Are they just using old standard ways of repairing, which is why they keep falling into disrepair?
Absolutely. I mean, the innovation is there. We've got a machine called the JCB Pothole Pro. There's others out there that can fix these potholes 4 times quicker and at half the cost. What we're not seeing is the adoption of that innovation.
Right.
So we talk about reactive repairs. In Wales, I think over 40% of potholes are done in a reactive manner. What we need to see is far less reactive repairs, focusing on that permanent repair. And what you see is a permanent repair is far more cost-effective with those council budgets.
Why is there no will to do it? Is it a bit like mass migration, where it doesn't seem like the governments have a will to do it? They could do something about it. Do you think it's almost like a money-making sort of business, where the people who are repairing it, this is all great for them because they can keep coming in and working, whereas you could actually fix the problem?
Well, local authorities will say the answer to that is short-term funding. What they say is the funding they get given is too short-term, so they really struggle to invest in innovation over a longer period of time to really make that difference. But I would say the disparity in the way that local authorities operate and the impacts that can have really then means a bit of a postcode lottery in terms of the state of the roads.
The repairs, the type of repairs we do, why we do it, utility companies who just use the road, electricity companies dig it up, video companies dig it up, who doesn't come along, water companies dig it up. What is this nonsense? I mean, everybody digs up and then puts down a temporary repair.
That's it, and I think, as a road user, that's the frustration, is the cost of road closures, the damage personally and the health and safety risks. It costs the economy over £5 billion a year. So it really is inefficient. So whether it is utility companies, whether it's local authorities, contractors, there should be that permanent repair and that standard.
Well, look, if you're a driver, you see this, you understand this, you know these roads are rubbish. Politicians drive as well. What are they hiding from? It is a budgetary spend, basically, they're hiding from. So I put it to you, they're not going to give you this money, Ben.
No, and with existing budgets, we can do a lot more, and I think that's what the Pottle Partnership is calling for.
And how could you, as a partnership, how could you then go to local authorities and governments and road agencies and say, look, I understand what you've got to spend, but spend it this way, we will show you how?
Yeah, I think what we would say is use that on the innovation. You know, we can't expect to do the same practices for 20, 30, 40 years and get different results. Now is the time to allocate some of that resource to use different practices, different technologies, and that is the way then to be more efficient with that existing budget.
Well, Ben, I wish you really good luck, with all of this, because if anything deserves to succeed, that does. But what I really can't stand is hearing these politicians talking about, oh, we need to give money around the world, we need to spend money on this, there's so much things they should be doing, and the state of the roads, the state, is something that we really have got to take seriously. So good luck with what you're trying to do.
All right, Ben Rawding, General Manager, JCB.
You didn't even notice there was anything wrong with the roads.
I did notice in this country, but you know what it is. I'm just, because they're so bad, I'm just used to it. That's what it is.
Yeah, they're bad everywhere, and you know, that's it. We're too busy fighting each other, too busy wars around the world and whatever. That's what we prefer to spend money on. Back with the sport, Paul Coit with that next.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. In the Highland, the A9 is blocked each way by an accident halfway between Alness and Evanton, causing queues. On the M6 in Cheshire, there's a lane closed where a van's broken down on the northbound slip road onto the motorway from the Knutsford services. There are delays of up to 3/4 of an hour. Some cancelled trains between Shrewsbury and Wolverhampton after a signalling problem. Some trains on the West Coast main line between Wolverhampton and Birmingham New Street having to divert. Now in the West Midlands, Birmingham New Road in Tipton is partly blocked southbound by an accident. In Norfolk, the A47 is closed each way at the Honningham roundabout because of an accident causing queues. In Wiltshire, the A361 is closed northeast of Swindon between Highworth and Inglesham after an accident yesterday lunchtime. The M2 in Kent is blocked westbound between junctions 5 and 4 from Sittingbourne to Gillingham, and the M27 in Hampshire is partly blocked westbound by an accident at junction 12 near Portsmouth causing queues.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking, this is a nightmare for the Conservatives again. Down to earth. It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it? And most importantly, honest. Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them. Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here with an exclusive opportunity just for you, our incredible GB News viewers. We're giving you the opportunity to win a VIP studio tour right here at GB News HQ. Plus, you'll also get to meet yours truly. It's easy to enter, just head to gbnews.com/community competition and follow the easy steps. Don't miss out, enter now, and I'll see you soon at GB News. Full T's and C's apply.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Here's Paul. He's got the sport for you and so many things. The thing I love, Paul, talking about you, we always learn things that I just didn't know. And one of the things I didn't know, I'm not primarily a rugby man. I do appreciate it. My kids played rugby and things. But I didn't know that in Premiership rugby grounds, there was no away end. There was no home end and an away end.
Yeah, everybody just mucks in together.
Yeah.
Because the thing is
because they don't kill each other.
Well, that's it. There's different reasons. So what they're going to do in the Rugby Premiership is they're going to host trials. They're going to be 2 games where they will have an away end. Because,
So
it goes without saying when it comes to football.
But it's going to become then very tribal. I mean, should they count their lucky stars the way they are integrated at the moment?
I think it will. See, there's good sides and bad sides of tribal. You know, you got tribal, it sounds worse than it is, but there's something about when you support a club, you know this, I know this, Nana doesn't know this, but you might.
I don't know anything.
But the thing is, though, I mean, I'm joking, but I went to a football match once and I took a friend, wasn't into football, and he could not understand what the support is like and why you feel like you do. And it all goes back to being a sense of belonging. Everybody's there together and everybody supports the same thing. And I remember him saying, but isn't it like going to your favourite supermarket? And I said, well, and it's very difficult to try and explain, but it's something you feel more than...
They can sit where they like. And
at the moment, they can.
That's
and they can have alcohol as well, whereas in soccer you can't bring alcohol into the ground.
Once you split to 2 tribes, then it becomes tribal.
When 2 tribes go to war, a point is all you can score.
Exactly.
That's it, you see?
So you integrate them, and then there's just friendship and banter, and everyone just goes along with it.
But
I think
if you did that, Nana, at football...
No, they've been set up that way.
Then, if you have... And we've seen this, where you will have a supporter of one club... You know, it could be it could be Liverpool, Man United, it could be Spurs, Arsenal. One supporter would jump up amongst, and it would not be a sensible thing to do because it riles the others. But anyway, what they're doing...
That's because they've been divided. So
it's Saracens versus Gloucester, April 19th, then Leicester versus Harlequins. So there's going to be a weigh-in for Harlequins and one for Gloucester as well. Now, they're saying it will then improve the atmosphere because when you have a whole group of supporters together... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's all a bit quiet and a bit overly... It's all very friendly, but... So when you get to singing and shouting and cheering coming from one end, that would improve the atmosphere. So it's almost 2 different ways of doing it.
One of the things they're doing to improve the atmosphere and their bank balance at Manchester United is they're rising prices by 2.5%, not so bad. But you've got behind the dugouts where the manager sits and whatever it is, they're going to take away 10 rows or so behind there. And these are going to be premium seats, so they're going to be taken off certain supporters and sold to other people.
Well, this is where big money's coming in, because obviously hospitality will make clubs more money than just your regular seat. But the worry with the Premier League, and the thing is we can say that about so many different things with football, is it's about the regular fan, the man or the woman that would take their kids, they would go along and they've done it for years, that now can't afford it anymore because there's fewer seats that are available to them and they've got to spend a premium. And that is a worry for me. And I think that's a really real shame because the bottom line is all about money. Yeah. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe has now said... See, the thing is, I think this is probably slightly unfair. He's raised the season ticket prices 5%, and we worked out it's not a lot, is it? In the grand scheme of things...
2.5%.
Right, yeah, well, no, it's 5. It's 5% for the 3rd successive year, although it did stay the same for a long time. So Supporters Trust say it's less than they expected it to be. They're using the old, it's to improve the team. You know, it's always, well, it'll go towards the team. You know, I don't buy that for a second. But they are going to put the prices up, although the senior discount, there is still a senior discount at Manchester United where a lot of clubs, there isn't one at all. So, there we are.
I'm very lucky. You know, I've got 2 good seats right on the halfway line. This works very well for me. But... this new ground improvement, goodness knows where you'll end up, and the players will be like dots, I would imagine.
Well, I think with the new stadium and the way they're going to build it, and Spurs did this as well, and they built it as primarily a football stadium. So actually, when you will go inside, I'm sure this is going to be the case once United's new ground is, it's very tight. It'll be very close, and everybody will get... There won't be a bad seat in the house. It's not going to be like miles away.
A bit like sitting in this studio. Sports birthdays, Paul?
Come on, then, let's go over some sports birthdays. OK, some famous sports people today. First one, please. Big Ron.
Big Ron.
Big Ron Atkinson.
I reckon...
72.
No, I reckon he must be older. I reckon he's 82 or so.
73.
86.
86.
Big Ron's 86.
Yeah,
Good. Yeah.
Well
right, another
done,
one.
Big Ron.
Let's go with the cricket one, shall we? David Lloyd, Bumble.
He looks like you.
He's a fantastic fella, is he? Yeah.
He does look a bit like
in his younger days. Obviously, I'm a more handsome version, but no, anyway, there he is.
His eyebrows are different.
I think he's 80.
80? Oh, no, I'd say...
It's not bad.
73.
78 is the answer for David Lloyd. Love Bumble.
You look great.
How about Danny Murphy? Here we are, Danny Murphy.
50?
I'll go 54.
48. And one more, a friend of both of ours, Jeff Sterling.
Oh, he's very handsome.
We love
Roger
Jeff.
Moore.
Jeff Sterling, it's his birthday today. How old
81.
is Jeff?
No!
I mean, he's not going to be a friend of yours if you say 81. I tell you that, he probably won't be a friend of yours
I would
anymore.
say...
He's going much, much younger.
I said he looked great.
I would say Jeff's probably about...
He's not about... This is a...
73.
It's a big birthday for Jeff.
I would say he's
60,
about...
70.
No, I'd say... About 70.
80.
He's about 70. He's about 70.
He is 70 today.
He's 70. There you go.
Have you played bingo before, Nana?
Very handsome, man, I must say. He looks really
84, 22.
64, 24, 35.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Paul. Still to come, Anna Firth and James Schneider are going through the papers. But first of you want some winter sun.
Yes, here's the forecast of some of the top European holiday destinations.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Plenty of sunshine through the middle of the week for Italy and Croatia. Some chilly winds blowing across Greece and Turkey. Strong winds and more rain to come for Spain and Portugal. Some places here could see a month's worth of rain over the next day or so. Some of that showery rain affecting the Pyrenees and the south of France. Much of Italy dry and sunny. Plenty of sunshine over the Greek islands, but that northerly wind will be bringing a chill. But temperatures will be recovering slowly in Santorini over the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and this is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, weekdays from 9 p.m.
You can smack, thwack, thump, and everyone's got a different definition of what it is.
I'm not an idiot.
Smacking
And most parents
is
aren't idiots. They can draw a distinction between them.
Lazy, shortcut parenting, and there's no case in which it's justified. Smacking spreads. So you smack one, they're going to smack their siblings. They're going to go into school and disagree with other children and give them a whack. And then what about, do you give proxy rights to teachers, nursery workers?
No.
And in fact, no, you don't. So you love your child so much that you're going to smack them. Only you. It's special for you.
Hang on a minute, Anna May. Are you, just so we're clear, Anna May, are you accusing Bev of being a bad mother or something here?
I'm saying I can't believe that in 2025 somebody would come on TV and defend doing something to a child that wouldn't be acceptable to a
Bev,
dog.
do you want to come back to that?
If you smacked a dog in the street, Bev, if you smacked a dog in the street,
is almost every parent is smacking their child, except they won't admit it. And so what you've developed by that sort of parenting, it is true, is you've developed a culture of shame, whereby parents might have that instinct, as mammals will have, whether it's a monkey or a cat or a lion. In the natural world, the adult, the parent of that young cub whatever it is, will occasionally...
What are we talking about here? What are we talking about this? Are we talking about hurting children with your hand and also not even having a standard? Paediatricians are saying don't do it. And also this argument, I know what's going to come next. You're going to say, oh, the police could be involved. Aren't they going to be too busy to do this? Guess what? Children can't dial 999, particularly very young ones.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Right, let's take a look at some of the newspapers' front pages. We start with the Daily Mail. That leads with Kemi Badenoch. She's poised to ditch the previous Conservative pledge, that is to reach net zero targets by 2050.
Here's the Mirror. Don't punish the needy. Unions warn against the government's plans to slash billions off the benefits bill. That's going to be a big story today.
Yes, the Times also reporting about sick and disabled benefit claimants and how much they will face more scrutiny.
There's a new Snow White film out, and very, 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 very grumpy, they're saying, because the dwarves aren't dwarves. They are CGI composites, basically. But is that such a bad thing? Is that such a bad thing?
Well, why can't you use actual actors who are with dwarfism? There's nothing wrong with that, although I don't know whether you're allowed to say that anymore.
Well, I know. I mean, I was watching The Greatest Showman at the weekend, and they had, a lovely guy who had dwarfism. Brilliant. Why can't we do that?
Well, because CGI is probably cheaper. But as you heard, that is the voice of former Conservative MP Anna Firth, and former political advisor James Schneider also joins us to go through some of the stories that caught their eye. Where do you want to start with? Should we start with this civil servants spending a lot of money on credit cards, a bit like Rachel Reeves and her £4,000 credit card bill?
Honestly, Nana, this is an absolute scandal. And, fair dues, good on Pat McFadden. What he's unearthed is that 20,000 credit cards are being used by civil servants, and they've been used for things like £740 pair of shoes. Wow. Yeah, they've been used for buying Prosecco by the crate load. I mean, what is going on? I mean, can you imagine a teacher having a credit card, or a doctor or a nurse, and going out and buying 700... How much were your shoes, Nana?
God, I don't spend that much. I actually bought the most expensive pair of shoes I bought, which quite recently, was a pair of boots for just over £300. So even me, I don't. That to me is very expensive.
And that was your money.
That was my money.
That wasn't on the company credit card.
Well, mine are £30 from M&S, and I think that's absolutely fine. But this is a scandal. I mean, the budget went up from £150 million to £675 million. If we didn't have this sort of level of corruption going on, then maybe there'd be more money for disabled benefits and the things that we should be spending money on.
Yeah, well, it's interesting as well, and obviously people might think this is not relevant, but Liz Kendall, who's our Working and Pension Secretary, I mean, I don't think that they understand how the real people live. I mean, they've got a lovely house in Notting Hill. Between her and her husband, they earn over £700,000, and it's these people coming up with policies to cut benefits from sick, disabled, and also pensioners. I believe you should stop the people taking the mickey, but I think there's other targets, and I think they're going for the wrong ones.
Yeah, I think cutting the credit cards is good. I think cutting payments so disabled people can live independent lives is obviously a terrible thing. And to be honest, you don't need to be disabled or have a disabled member in your family to see that that's ridiculous. Those are not the priorities that people want. And when people voted for, or at least some people voted for change last year, I really don't think many people had high up on their list of priorities to clobber disabled people.
No, it just seems absurd. So what do you make of this credit card then? Is it right to do that? Are they doing that?
I mean, yeah, the fact that it quadrupled the amount of money that was spent on these credit cards in recent years. Clearly, that screams there's a problem, and the idea that there are 20,000 of them floating around the civil service seems like there's way too many. I'm sure that there are perfectly reasonable reasons why some civil servants need credit cards for some things, but the scale of it seems, frankly, bonkers. And the amount of money spent, £675 million, as Anna says, is a lot of money.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, let's turn our attention to television and what makes you laugh. The actress Felicity Kendall, it's 50 years, would you believe, since the sitcom The Good Life was made. And she said it was the most enjoyable period of her life. But the point is, and the reason we're talking about this, is that she now says, Anna, that the BBC has lost its mojo as regards sitcoms.
Oh, I completely and utterly agree with her. It's lost its sense of humour. I mean, The Good Life was fantastic. Remember the two Ronnies, To the Manor Born, Are You Being Served? And what was so amazing about all of those shows is that they were all taking the Michael, wasn't going to use that word, but that's a more polite word. They were all taking the Michael almost out of themselves. And we've lost that as a society, and so has the BBC. And, you know, let's bring Felicity Kendall back. What a hero, what a treasure she is.
I've never forgotten the one episode when I was very young, because I watched it, and she was looking at this baby, and she was with, I can't remember, but she went, what an ugly baby. Never forgotten that line, it was so funny.
You don't think you could say it?
To be fair to contemporary BBC and laughing at itself, they did create W1A, a whole sitcom entirely, laughing at BBC, at BBC senior executives and the culture within Portland Place. So, that was a golden age. There will be other golden ages. There's also great TV being made. Now, you had on someone here before who was talking about this show, Adolescence, which I finished last night, which is incredibly powerful and gripping TV.
But to make you laugh, I do think there is a problem with laughter. I think there's a scare factor with laughter, who you're going to offend and whatever. I've found one called Amanda Land, which is Joanna Lumley in it, and it is very, very funny. It's a BBC one, but you can look back and you can judge, over the years, Father Ted or whatever it happens to be.
That was very good. That was Channel 4, wasn't it?
Whatever floated your boat.
Thank goodness we've got Richard Curtis, though. I mean, he's still churning out fantastic films, isn't he? Yeah. And and then they're classics, aren't they? We still all laugh at Four Weddings and a Funeral, Love Actually, Notting Hill, even though some of the humour in that is, is quite near the edge.
She's a hooker who gets picked up by a guy in his car. Listen, can we move on to this one about the NASA astronaut stranded in space for months before Elon Musk's SpaceX Dragon rescues them?
Well, it's the work trip from hell. It's gone totally wrong. They thought they were off for 8 days. The poor astronauts, off they go in the morning. See you later, love. Oh, don't worry. Yes, I know it's slightly longer than a week, but I'll be back next Tuesday. 9 months later, they're stranded up there. Not good for their bones and all the rest of it. But now they've come back. They've been brought back by as you say, by SpaceX. SpaceX. I'm not sure what the technical term is for it. But anyway, it's paid for by NASA. This is a NASA paid-for thing. They had one private contractor, Boeing, that left them up there, and then they've got another private contractor that's brought them back.
Do we actually know why they got stuck up there for, long enough to actually have a baby?
There wasn't much talk about it, was there? There wasn't, let's not mention this sort of thing. It was very brushed under the carpet.
It was meant to be a test of the Boeing Starliner, but sometimes these things go completely wrong. There was one crash because they got 25 years ago, Challenger, I think, or maybe 30 years ago, they got inches and centimetres confused.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Right.
But also sometimes you can spend a lot of money on things. NASA, 50 years ago, spent a huge sum of money trying to find a pen that will write in space upside down. Gosh. And the Soviets found one. It's called a pencil.
I don't want to do it until it's like Star Trek, really. It's all so easy. Quick word about the Battle of Britain pilot.
Yes.
Yeah, and that is Paddy Hemingway.
I mean, this is the most gorgeous story.
We've just got under a minute.
This lovely pilot, last person who flew with the Battle of Britain. said he was a lucky man because he was an Irishman and he died on St Patrick's Day.
Oh,
isn't that a beautiful...
Lovely thought. Lovely thought that that's the way it is. If you're going to go, might as well be quick and quiet.
Oh, St Patrick's Day.
105, though. 105.
Day.
Yeah. Guys, thank you both very much indeed. It's been a joy having you in today. Thank you for all your comments
and
whatever. We're now going to go over to Alex Deacon, and he's going to give you the forecast for the day ahead.
A chilly start will give way to a lovely, warm afternoon. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Cracking day today if you like spring sunshine. It will still feel quite fresh, certainly a chilly start, particularly in the wind in the southwest. There'll be another frost overnight tonight. Quite cloudy to begin with across parts of Northern Ireland and some cloud across the southwest, but for many it is a sparkling day of sunshine. A brisk wind though across the southwest of England, South Wales, and quite a breeze too on some of these North Sea coasts, which could produce quite cloudy conditions across Shetland. But for most it's fine, dry, lots of sunshine. Temperatures just ticking up a little, double digits for many inland, but it'll feel cooler on those North Sea coasts, just 7 or 8 Celsius here. Pretty quickly tonight those temperatures will be dropping back down again under largely clear skies. We'll keep a fair bit of cloud and a bit of a breeze across Shetlands, but elsewhere we will have generally clear skies well into the night, and that will allow those temperatures to start falling pretty rapidly. But generally a fine night to come, a good night for stargazing across the Midlands, Wales and southwest England. Still a bit of a breeze across the southwest. That will ease slowly through the night, but will still be there. Temperatures will fall away under those clear skies, as I mentioned, so you can see that blue hue, the frost. The breeze in the southwest should help to keep the temperatures up here, but elsewhere we'll be down to freezing or a touch below, even in towns and cities and rural spots well below, -6, -7 in a few places. So a frosty start tomorrow morning. But again, for many, it's going to be a fine and dry day with plenty of sunshine. Perhaps a bit more cloud tomorrow, particularly in the far southwest, where the winds will be a touch lighter, but it's just a small chance of a shower here. Again, the risk of a bit of low cloud at times over the Northern Isles, but generally it's another fine day tomorrow with more blue sky. And after that frosty start, turning a little milder, and temperatures will continue to tick up through the rest of this week.
A nice bright morning will generate a lovely warm day, right through to the evening. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. In the Highland, the A9 is blocked each way by an accident halfway between Alness and Everton, causing queues. On the M6 in Cheshire, there's a lane closed where a van's broken down on the northbound slip road joining the motorway from the Knutsford services between junctions 18 and 19. There are delays of up to half an hour to trains between Shrewsbury and Wolverhampton after a signalling problem. In the West Midlands, Birmingham New Road in Tipton is partly blocked southbound by an accident. In Norfolk, the A47 is closed in both directions at Hodingham between Norwich and Dereham after an accident causing queues. On the M25 in Essex, the inside lane is closed clockwise just before junction 27 for the M11 after an accident, with queues from junction 26 at Waltham Abbey. In Wiltshire, the A361 is closed in both directions northeast of Swindon after an accident, and the M27 in Hampshire is partly blocked westbound by an accident at junction 12 at Portsmouth.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
We're giving you the chance to splash out this season with an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash. Jet off on your dream holiday, treat yourself to something special, or just save it for a rainy day. You'll also receive 2 brand new designer watches and a Mulberry handbag, so you can really look the part this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, because the failure is... You're deliberately avoiding my point.
Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Anna, you're the only presenter I've ever worked with who's so respectful. If there's a gap, you won't fill it. So there we go.
Because it says your name, and so I say, Eamonn, you've got to start. Come on, quick.
I'm only trying to give you important bits. Off you go. Off you go.
Good morning. The government unveils a once-in-a-generation reform to the benefit system.
Well, number 10 will defy a backlash and announce milestone changes to sickness and disability payments.
But is the biggest holdback actually work-shy Brits?
Yes, the benefits bill is simply unaffordable. That's what the government say. They want to trim £7 billion from it, but it's going to upset a lot of people. I'll bring you the details shortly.
Israel launched a barrage of airstrikes with the backing of Washington.
Honour Margaret Thatcher. Not just.
Of course, that's Kemi Badenoch. She's talking. She's been heckled by climate activists ahead of her biggest speech yet. Stay tuned to find out what she's planning to say about net zero. Here's the view of the Shadow Secretary of State for Energy, Andrew Bowie.
Today kickstarts that process of developing sensible policies to get to net zero, but without an arbitrary target that will make this country poorer.
The royals are heading to Rome. The King and Queen will visit Italy and the Vatican next month for state visits.
And Buckingham Palace pressing ahead with plans for that state visit to the Vatican. Despite Pope Francis's ailing health, he is of course still in hospital. The King has privately written to him. More details shortly.
And of course, Princess of Paddy's Day. That's Catherine. She sips on a pint of Guinness before putting money behind the bar for the Irish Guards.
Prince William pays tribute to the Battle of Britain pilot Paddy Hemingway, who's died at the age of 105.
Yes, it's a little chilly out there this morning, but for many it's a blue sky day. Plenty of spring sunshine today and again tomorrow. Although it'll be cold tonight with another frost, it will get warmer as the week goes on. Join me later for a full forecast.
Hello there, whoever you're watching, whoever you're listening, whatever you're doing, you can say to your device, play GB News Breakfast, and we'll pop up. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Nana Akwe, and this is GB News Breakfast.
We're just hearing that the Ministry of Justice has confirmed to us that it has triggered an emergency measure to use police cells to hold prisoners. A Ministry of Justice spokesman says measures will help manage temporary capacity pressures ahead of HMP Millsike opening in a few weeks' time.
Right, well, moving on. People on sickness and disability benefits will face more frequent reassessments under the new plan set out by the government.
Liz Kendall, who is the Work and Pension Secretary, will outline cuts worth £6 billion ahead of the spring statement, and that will be next week.
But with mounting backlash from MPs and ministers, the Secretary is playing a balancing act to try and avoid a full-scale rebellion.
And let's go to our political correspondent for more on this, Catherine Foster. Catherine, good morning to you.
Yes, good morning both. Well, a lot of unhappiness within Labour ranks about this. Labour MPs did not come into power to cut people's benefits. This is just one of a series of measures that the government says it's having to take that is upsetting a lot of its own MPs. Now, we will find out the details of this at lunchtime when the Work and Pensions Secretary, Liz Kendall, speaks in Parliament, but we do know a fair bit. Basically, the benefits bill is ballooning. It's gone through the roof really since the pandemic, and we're now at a point that we've got 2.8 million working age people on long-time sickness benefits, and the cost of health and disability benefits is £65 billion a year, and that's projected to go up to £100 billion by 2030. So huge sums of money that the government says we simply cannot afford, and it wants to shave about £7 billion off that. So several things likely to happen. PIP, personal independence payments, are likely to be restricted to those who are the most severely disabled. Eligibility, criteria likely to be significantly tightened, and especially for those with mental health conditions, there'll be more frequent reassessments for that too. Although there is a little bit of good news in that people with the most severe conditions and conditions which will not improve may not have to be assessed again at all. Also, the government wants to get rid of this work capability assessment that's at the heart of sort of getting incapacity benefit, and people must be prepared to sort of be put on a path to work. The carrots that the government is offering is they want to spend £1 billion on helping people back to work, and also they're going to introduce this scheme where you're given a right to try work, and if it doesn't work, you can go back to benefits. But a lot of change and likely to upset a lot of people, I should expect.
Thank you very much. Really good to talk to you. All right, it's just coming up to 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Let's speak to disability advocate and Big Brother star Kerry Riches, who uses PIP payments to pay for her specially adapted car.
Yes, which you used this morning to bring your kids to school.
Yes. Well, he actually walks now, but yes, I couldn't be without my hand-controlled, my adapted vehicle.
Well, you've attracted a lot of attention this morning, and people are very understanding, though, the ones who've been in touch with us today, which is good, because they realise there are certain needs you have, there's certain conditions that you need to have a life, basically. And then there are the odd one or two who are saying, yeah, but she's got a new car, and I don't have it, and whatever. You can see people don't like the inadequacies of all of this, the lack of balance, if they perceive it that way.
I call MS my superpower, but I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It is, people have so many views about whether or not we should have adapted vehicles or not. And I believe that it is fair for the disabled community to have what they need. I couldn't be without my hand controls. I don't use my feet at all when I'm driving. And in the back of my vehicle, I have a hoist and my scooter. I think we just need to stop with having such archaic views around these things, I'm afraid. I wouldn't wish my disability on absolutely anybody, and I desperately want the right thing to happen today, in that I want to work with Labour in order to really help people get back into the workplace. Work is good for you. I've never not worked. But targeting personal independence payments, in my opinion, is the wrong thing to do. If we remove PIP, we then can't get them to work. It's about remaining independent. I feel this is a bit short-sighted to have a broad brush approach on this one. I really do feel like PIP is the wrong thing to target here, because everyone has the right to work, and I believe there is a job for everyone in this world, but it's about working with employees to make sure that they are able to perhaps offer hybrid working, flexible working. I do really believe that the work is good for you. It's good for you mentally. I really couldn't have imagined not working. I worked in the NHS for 21 years. Long before COVID, I worked for 2 days a week, being head of patient experience, and I couldn't have imagined not having my job. That purpose, that I love earning my own money.
Yeah. A lot of people probably don't think about this aspect of it. But what does it do to you when you hear that the government are targeting that? Because it must make you feel very worried and nervous about your own future and how you will, if they took this payment, how you would survive.
No, I don't receive money. I receive my car. I sacrifice my higher mobility for my vehicle. If they take my car, they've put my independence. I won't be able to. I can't bear to think about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's really difficult, and it will be so difficult for so many people that perhaps if they don't work, it still gives them the opportunity to go out and socialise, be in the community, and have that opportunity to. I really do feel like the knock-on implication for people that don't. I mean, I don't have mental health problems myself, but I tell you something now. If my car was took away from me and I was unable to get out the house, then I think I would struggle mentally.
Well, Kerry, just give you some reaction to this. Joseph says, I'm on PIP. I'm very worried. You have to contribute big advance payments to get a car. Mental health issues and whether they should qualify is debatable. There are a few who are spoiling it for the majority. Susan says, full PIP is £180 a week. If you have a car, you've got to pay £75 a week out of that to lease the car, plus you need a deposit on that as well. Have you got anything there?
Well, I've got one from Rob. He says that the guest on earlier with MS, because you were on earlier, Kerry, is the kind of person that the benefit system is in place for. We all need to be honest, including those on the benefit system, that many are taking the mick with this, and it's going to bring the whole system down. Unless this is addressed, Kerry will end up with nothing. So you've had a lot of support, and I'm wholeheartedly with them that absolutely, people who need it, that's why we pay our taxes.
Yeah. And Kerry, what do you think's going to have to happen today for everyone to be satisfied about this?
I think they need to leave PIP alone, if I'm honest with you. I think they need to look at other benefits, to be honest. Like I've said, PIP is not means tested. We have a personal independent payment, so we are able to go to work to do these things. I am hoping that I'm hoping there's support here. I really am. I'm hoping that they don't use a broad brush approach and just take it away from certain people. I also feel like, and this would be a sensible thing, and why I went to the Labour conference to speak to Sir Stephen Timms, if you do want to get people back into the workplace, rather than just stop a benefit, what about a tapered reduction? I.e., if they start to earn a certain amount of money, whether it be, I don't know, £25,000, £30,000, then we taper it away. But don't touch PIP. PIP is the wrong benefit to be touching, because PIP gets people back into the workplace. And let's not forget, disabled people have on average £1,000 extra costs per month. My vehicle, the lady was talking about £75 a week. I sacrifice my whole PIP payment and I have to put down a £5,000 advance payment for my car. It's a bigger car because I have to fit my scooter in the back.
Yeah.
It's really different for different people. But honestly, PIP remains important to everybody that gets it.
I do agree with you as well. Instead of a cliff edge, a sort of graduating edge. And also, what isn't being mentioned here is that a lot of people on PIP are actually working. Listen, Kerry, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. You have inspired a lot of people. A lot of people are getting in touch with supporting you as well. So thank you so much.
Come and see us again soon, Kerry. Thank you very much indeed. We'll leave it there.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. It is interesting, though, people can have their opinions and their says, whatever, but I'm sure 99.9% of people who have got a disability would swap that, would say, here, have the disability, keep your money, I don't care, as long as they get rid of the disability. Which is they're not in a position to do that. We're running a poll today, and the question we are asking is, do you agree with Kemi Badenoch that net zero by 2050 is impossible? Well, what way is that shaping up?
Well, 98% if you agree, just 2% think it's doable. But it's ironic because they came up with something, the Conservatives, for something that is actually impossible, and now they're admitting it. Well, we'll get the results of that in Martin Daubney's show. And if you want to get involved on any of our polls, go to the website gbnews.com /poll.
It is strange. The Conservatives sort of have an open goal, don't they? There's so many things they criticise Labour for, and they think, who thought this up in the first place?
They did.
There we go. Anyway, who thought this up? This is a good one. It's the spring giveaway. It's worth a lot of money. £17,777. Have a go.
Spring has sprung with a great British giveaway, and we're giving you the chance to splash out this season with an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash. Jet off on your dream holiday, treat yourself to something special, or just save it for a rainy day. You'll also receive 2 brand new designer watches and a Mulberry handbag, so you can really look the part this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. Well, Buckingham Palace is pressing ahead with plans for the King and Queen to visit Rome as Pope Francis recovers from pneumonia.
It's understood royals are in daily contact with the Vatican, and His Majesty wrote privately to His Holy Father the Pope when he was first taken ill. Cameron Walker, our royal correspondent, with a take on this. And I suppose, Cameron, this is a trip, however nice this may seem, it can't be guaranteed, can it?
It can't be guaranteed, but royal sources tell me the outlook looks pretty positive at the moment for Pope Francis, although he is still in hospital in Rome, so that remains to be seen exactly how this state visit is going to go ahead. However, as things stand, plans are pressing ahead with Buckingham Palace. So 2 separate state visits, one to the Holy See to visit the Pope, the other to Italy, both at the request of the UK government. We do understand there will be an audience with the King and Queen with Pope Francis if, of course, he is well enough. I suspect there is a plan B and maybe even a plan C if the Pope's health deteriorates any more. But it's to celebrate the Pope's 2025 Platinum Jubilee year with the theme this year of Pilgrims of Hope, all about reconciliation. And in an historic first, Buckingham Palace tells me, the King will be visiting somewhere called the Papal Basilica of St Paul's outside the walls. And that used to have a very special link with English kings until King Charles's predecessor, Henry VIII, decided to upset the Catholic Church by creating his own Church of England to divorce his first wife, Catherine of Aragon. So the King will be visiting there. Then separately in Italy, the King and Queen will be visiting the country, having an audience with Prime Minister Meloni, who, of course, was here in the UK for the Security Summit in London a few weeks ago. NATO is expected to be a huge theme. Both the Italian Air Force and the Royal Air Force are going to be conducting a joint flypast, so huge symbolism there with Italy and UK relations.
God,
thank you, Cameron.
They've been so busy, the royals. Thank you very much, Cameron Walker. What would we do without them?
Well, we're also remembering today John Hemingway, the Last Battle of Britain pilot, and we're doing that next. Please do stay with us.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation. Because the failure is... You're deliberately avoiding my point.
Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good to see you again.
Now, the last surviving pilot who fought in the Battle of Britain, Captain John Paddy Hemingway, has died at the age of 105.
What a legacy, what an achievement. Paddy was Irish, and he was born in Dublin, and he helped to defend England from the large-scale assault by the German Air Forces, the Luftwaffe. Joining us now to reflect on this, historian and author Martin Whittock. What a man, Martin.
What a man. It's the end of an era. This is a really historic event. The last surviving Battle of Britain pilot. You know, his squadron shot down 90 enemy aircraft during an 11-day period alone in May 1940. He then fought in the Battle of France. He fought in the Battle of Britain in the summer and autumn of 1940. His logbook records up to 5 daily sorties. That means 5 times taking off, fighting, coming down, refueling a day during that time. The stress, the exhaustion is incomprehensible. He was shot down 4 times in the war. During the Battle of Britain, he was shot down twice. His Hurricane was shot down. And the wreckage of that Hurricane was found in 2019 with the control column and the gun button still set on fire as it had been pressed by him when he exited that particular Hurricane aircraft. Awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross.
How old was he at this time, around these years?
Well, gosh, he's going to be in his 20s, isn't he? My maths is terrible. He's 105 today, so you have to do a bit of subtraction there. But this is going to be a pretty young man. I have to confess, I was a historian, not a maths teacher, and I have to say mental maths is not my strong point. He's 105 today, so we're talking about what he's going to be in his 20s, 30s. I mean, very, very young man. Awarded Distinguished Flying Cross in 1941. He then was an air controller in D-Day. He was then shot down over Italy in April 1945, rescued by Italians and back to the Allied lines, became officer commanding RAF Leconfield in 1966. I mean, basically, this is an extraordinary man whose life tells something of the story of the UK and of the Western Allies in the Second World War. Shot down 4 times, Distinguished Flying Cross. What a man! What a man.
Well, listen, what an incredible man indeed. Martin Whittock, really good to talk to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Martin, for the appraisal. Thank you very much indeed. Beverly, thank you. Beverly and Andrew are up here. I always think, guys, when we talk about Generation Z and what they will or won't do, or the pressure they're under, you would say, you know, look, as a 19-year-old or 20-year-old, that's pressure.
Oh,
and that's
completely.
what's right about him. That when the Battle of Britain ended, at which he was fighting from the very first day it started, he was still only 21.
I know.
Extraordinary what he went through in those years. And you think what our 21-year-olds are like today. No comparison. They don't make them like that anymore.
No.
And he was fighting right to the end of the war. And one of the fourth times his plane came down, his parachute didn't work, and he landed in a tree and still lived to tell the
Wow,
tale.
what a lucky man.
Well, he deserved to be lucky, didn't he? He had a survivor's gene.
Wow.
And now they take a
What
day
have you
off
got
work.
to do? We've got
I was gonna say,
30 seconds to...
Now the youngsters take a day off work if they don't know the Wi-Fi code for their mental health. Now, what are we talking about today? Extraordinary figures which will make your blood boil on wasted taxpayers' money.
How much did they spend repainting the blue press office in number 10 Downing Street?
So when Labour got in, you remember Boris Johnson made this press studio in Downing Street?
It cost the taxpayer £80,000.
For a tin of paint?
Absolutely.
To redecorate.
Shameful. Shameful.
Some of these having you on. Guys, have a good show. Thank you very much indeed. Beverly and Andrew there. Eamonn and Nana will be back tomorrow to do it all again. Have a good day.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning, time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Cracking day today if you like spring sunshine. It will still feel quite fresh, certainly a chilly start, particularly in the wind in the southwest. There'll be another frost overnight tonight. Quite cloudy to begin with across parts of Northern Ireland and some cloud across the southwest, but for many it is a sparkling day of sunshine. A brisk wind though across the southwest of England, South Wales, and quite a breeze too on some of these North Sea coasts, which could produce quite cloudy conditions across Shetland. But for most it's fine, dry, lots of sunshine. Temperatures just ticking up little double digits for many inland, but it'll feel cooler on those North Sea coasts, just 7 or 8 Celsius here pretty quickly tonight. Those temperatures will be dropping back down again under largely clear skies. We'll keep a fair bit of cloud and a bit of a breeze across Shetland, but elsewhere we will have generally clear skies well into the night, and that will allow those temperatures to start falling pretty rapidly. But generally a fine night to come, a good night for stargazing across the Midlands, Wales and southwest England. Still a bit of a breeze across the southwest. That will ease slowly through the night, but will still be there. Temperatures will fall away under those clear skies, as I mentioned, so you can see that blue hue, the frost. The breeze in the southwest should help to keep the temperatures up here, but elsewhere we'll be down to freezing or a touch below, even in towns and cities and rural spots well below, -6, -7 in a few places. So a frosty start tomorrow morning. But again, for many, it's going to be a fine and dry day with plenty of sunshine. Perhaps a bit more cloud tomorrow, particularly in the far southwest, where the winds will be a touch lighter, but it's just a small chance of a shower here. Again, the risk of a bit of low cloud at times over the Northern Isles, but generally it's another fine day tomorrow with more blue sky. And after that frosty start, turning a little milder, and temperatures will continue to tick up through the rest of this week.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB